Chapter 237. Don't give up eating for fear of choking. Jiang Xi suddenly realized that what he said made sense. Xian Tian also laughed. What are you afraid of? Earth is not the feline girl planet. There are many secrets on our planet. Think about it, how long did it take for the three of us to cultivate from ordinary people to the golden core stage? I spent 60 years and 50 years in vain, and you? Forget it, let's not talk about it. Jiang Xi smiled. He understood what Xian Tian meant. Not to mention his existence as a cheat, Xian Tian and Li Baibai's cultivation speed was definitely at the level of geniuses. In the universe, cultivators who reached the golden core stage within 100 years could be called geniuses. Because under normal circumstances, it would take 200 or 300 years to cultivate to the golden core stage. Moreover, Earth's secrets were not limited to that. After several revivals of spirit chi, the cultivators and monsters on Earth had improved as a whole. This was not seen on other planets. Earth was not simple. So, just cultivate well. Maybe in the future, when the starry sky wanderers really find Earth, we will already be in the nascent soul stage or even the nascent soul stage. We can kill them with a slap. Xian Tian patted Jiang Xi's shoulder earnestly. Jiang Xi, at this point, his heart was completely at ease. Indeed, as Xian Tian and Li Baibai said, Earth was not the feline girl planet. There were so many secrets that were the foundation and backing of their growth. Moreover, he had the experience value panel. Sooner or later, he would be promoted to a higher realm. As long as he was strong enough, what was there to be afraid of? Xian Tian waited for a long time. Seeing that Jiang Xi did not respond, he took the initiative to urge, hurry up, what are you waiting for? Didn't you say you brought us gifts? Li Baibai also chuckled. Jiang Xi smiled and gave the two of them the storage rings he had prepared. The storage ring he had brought back from planet Grey Cloud was naturally not as big as the storage ring Taoist Gu had left for him. However, in the eyes of Xian Tian and Li Baibai, no matter how small it was still a rare item. They had been thinking for a long time about the storage Dharma treasure that cultivators needed. As expected of our good little brother. The two of them did not hesitate to decline. They were both adults, and with their relationship, there was no need for such a hypocritical gesture. Just like when Jiang Xi came to Xian Tian yesterday to ask for something, Xian Tian directly gave him 3 stones the size of a stone pier. With so many magical stones, it was enough to buy 100 level 1 life planets. Therefore, Jiang Xi felt apologetic and said, Big brother, big sister bye-bye, I also obtained other inheritances in the Jade Lake's heaven-reaching tower. I can share them with you. You won't be affected if you share it with us, right? Although the two of them were tempted, they still considered Jiang Xi first. Jiang Xi chuckled. It doesn't matter. He decided to choose 2 complete inheritances from Taoist Ge's inheritance memories and pass them to Xian Tian and Li Baibai. Of course, these 2 inheritances were not as precious as the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra, but they were still powerful inheritances that Taoist Gu had collected in his long cultivation career. After all, anything that could be left in the inheritance memories of a Tao integration stage powerhouse would definitely not be bad. Xian Tian and Li Baibai were overjoyed. With these inheritances, their cultivation would have a basic direction. They would no longer need to fumble around and would improve faster in the future. After returning from Xian Tian City, Jiang Xi entered seclusion again. Of course, his seclusion was still different from others. With the experience points panel, everything became very simple. Gain experience points, improve cultivation, deduce Tao techniques. The process was just these 3. The only thing that limited his improvement speed was spirit chi energy. Now, this limitation was also gone. The spiritual fruits he brought back from planet Sanglan were enough for him to use for a long time. Thus, Jiang Xi ate 4,000-year-old spiritual fruits first. With the help of the huge amount of spirit chi energy, he maxed out the experience points of the late-stage golden core stage and touched the final bottleneck of the golden core stage. The next step is to find a way to break through to the nascent soul stage. Jiang Ci had already memorized the nascent soul stage method in the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra. The nascent soul stage required the cultivator to have a preliminary understanding of the Tao of heaven and earth and comprehend the true meaning of Tao. Then, the power of Tao would be used to nurture the golden core and finally the nascent soul. Therefore, from this point of view, cultivators who could cultivate to the nascent soul stage had at least comprehended one true meaning of Tao. It's easy to say, but difficult to do. More than 90% of the cultivators in the universe are stuck at the late-stage golden core stage and can't break through to the nascent soul stage because their comprehension is too poor and they can't comprehend the true meaning of Tao. For example, Shen Wanxi, Gong Shi, and manager Zhua, whom he met on planet Sung Lan, were all at the late-stage golden core stage. They had been cultivating for more than 200 years, but they were stuck at this stage. Jiang Ci had secretly observed the three of them before. They didn't have any Taoist rhyme on them. Obviously, they hadn't comprehended the true meaning of Tao. I have already comprehended two complete true meanings of Tao. Nurturing the golden core is a piece of cake for me. Jiang Ci was full of confidence. Breaking through to the nascent soul stage was a piece of cake for him. Then, he started to use the yin-yang nurturing method recorded in the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra to manipulate the two true meanings of Tao and nurture the golden core. The true meaning of gale and the true meaning of sword, one is soft and the other is hard. It fits perfectly with the yin-yang nurturing method recorded in the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra. After trying for half a month, Jiang Ci successfully condensed a gale and a sword shadow in his lower dantian and circled around the golden core. The gale and the sword shadow gave off an inexplicable Taoist rhyme, causing the golden core to start to change. It was as if a new life was being nurtured. At this rate, it'll take about 10 years for it to be completed. Riverward furrowed his brows slightly before relaxing them. It was already very fast to be able to form the nascent soul in just 10 years. In the universe, cultivators who had the ability to form the golden core into the nascent soul would take more than 100 years just to complete the nurturing stage. Some people who did not have enough lifespan would not even be able to complete the nurturing process until they died. It was very tragic. Only the top geniuses had the ability to complete the nurturing process within 100 years. I'll just nurture it myself like this. I'll focus on deriving Tao techniques for the rest of the time. Jiang Ci had a clear plan in mind. Using the experience points panel to derive Tao techniques required 10,000 experience points each time. He looked at his experience points balance. Frowny face experience points, 28 million. These experience points were enough for him to derive 2,000 times. However, he could not just sit around and do nothing. Therefore, he was prepared to go to the wilderness to hunt monsters and harvest experience points every once in a while. He had to ensure that his experience points balance was sufficient. After all, other planets might not have an environment like Earth with so many monsters. Other than deriving Tao techniques, Jiang Ci did not forget to continue to organize and comprehend Taoist GE's inherited memories. As his cultivation base improved, he could already practice some of the miscellaneous skills and secret arts. For example, the soul-searching technique, the spiritual sense restriction, and so on. Just like that, although the strength data on the panel had temporarily stagnated with the bottleneck of the golden core stage. However, the increase in his strength did not stop. Just like that, another month passed. Chapter 238. Solar System, Mars. A flying ship shuttled through space and silently appeared in the starry sky outside Mars. Then, it began to land on the surface of the planet. On the deck of the flying ship, Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong were carefully observing the environment of Mars. Captain, the cosmic energy and gravity of this planet are close to the standard of a life planet. Qiu Hong's voice was filled with excitement. Her temperament was slightly feminine and she was extremely beautiful. It's just a little dead, like an abandoned life planet, Chu Zhe said. Let's go down and take a look first. Hu Yan frowned. They had already been exploring this desolate galaxy for 2 months, but they had yet to discover a true life-bearing planet. The flying ship quickly landed on Mars. The three of them took out the astrolabe and quickly scanned it, collecting all kinds of data on this planet. Soon, they returned to the flying ship in disappointment. This planet is indeed abandoned. There are only some ancient ruins that we can't even tell how old they are. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong's faces were filled with pity. The spiritual energy has dissipated, and it's no longer suitable for life. Hu Yan shook his head. Even if life had existed here a long time ago, its current state could no longer be defined as a life planet. Therefore, this planet had no value to them. But this is also considered good news. Since this planet once had a civilization, it means that there might be other life planets in this desolate galaxy. Hu Yan said with a smile. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong were also aware of this point. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. The flying ship set sail again and shuttled toward the next planet. Each time it shuttled, it could cross 100,000 kilometers. With the distance between Mars and Earth, they could reach the starry sky near Earth in less than an hour. Because there was no imprint of the Tao Alliance's Eye of Heaven, the astrolabe could not be used for navigation. When the three of them shuttled, they were very careful, worried that they would barge into some dangerous place. After another round of shuttling, the flying ship did not continue shuttling. Instead, it stopped in the void. Because they saw a blue planet. Even from thousands of miles away, they could vaguely feel the spiritual energy emitted by that planet. They were overjoyed and excited. Captain, this is definitely a life planet, and it's not just a grade 1. It might be a grade 2 life planet. A grade 2 life planet is worth at least 10 million low-grade spirit crystals. Captain, we've really struck gold. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong's excitement was expressed on their faces. They couldn't wait to rush into that azure blue planet and announce themselves as the planet's overlords. Hu Yan was a cautious person in his bones. Every time he reached a critical moment, he would be able to regain his composure. This was also the reason why they could break through the chaotic star belt of the pale blue star region. He took a deep breath and glanced at the Earth and the 2 moons that were orbiting it at the same time. 2 moons. This is a blessed land. The value of this planet might exceed 100 million lower spiritual crystals. 100 million. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong looked at each other excitedly. Captain, let's go in quickly. With the strength of the 3 of us, as long as it's not a life planet of level 3 or above, we can sweep through everything. Hu Yan smiled and controlled the flying ship to fly towards Earth. The closer they got to Earth, the more they felt that this planet was not simple, and the excitement in their hearts grew. Because the planet of life was right in front of them, the 3 of them ignored the exploration of the moon and headed straight for Earth. Soon, the flying ship arrived at the outer space of Earth. The strange thing was that the satellites of the 5 major powers in space were like decorations. They did not notice the arrival of the airship at all. Such low-level technology. It seems that this is really a barren planet. Qiu Hong sneered. The flying ship they were driving had a formation enchantment engraved inside, which could easily block the detection of these satellites. Hu Yan and Chu Zhe also laughed. Generally, a powerful life planet of level 3 or above would have a large defensive formation enchantment. It was impossible for a flying ship like theirs to approach quietly. They had to pass through the enchantment channel to truly enter. Since there's a satellite network, it's much more convenient to investigate. Zhe, it's up to you. Hu Yan said with a smile. With satellite technology, it proved that the communication of information was not blocked. They could easily obtain a lot of information about this planet through the satellite. Chu Zhe grinned, took out his astrolabe, and continuously made hand seals to operate it. The astrolabe immediately projected a starry sky phantom, and in an instant, it was forcefully connected to a nearby satellite. As long as it was information that had appeared on the Earth's network, it would all appear in this starry sky phantom. This was the crushing of civilization. The network firewalls of the various countries on Earth were simply vulnerable. Ah Zay, let's take a look at the situation of the cultivators on this planet, Hu Yan said. Chu Zay nodded and began to search. This planet is called Earth. The history of civilization recorded in writing is less than 6,000 years old. What trash! After another 2 to 3 breaths, he suddenly said in surprise, there are no nascent soul cultivators on this planet. The highest cultivation is only at the late stage of golden core. As for the number of golden core cultivators, he did not continue to search. As long as there were no nascent soul cultivators. Because Hu Yan's combat strength was comparable to a nascent soul cultivator, he could sweep away any existence below the nascent soul stage. This is a level 3 life planet. It's worth at least 100 million. Qiu Hong was very excited. Captain, this is a desolate planet. Let me take action directly. I guarantee that I will capture all the cultivators above the golden core stage in an hour. Chu Zay volunteered. He was also at the late stage of golden core stage, but as a space hunter who walked on the edge of life and death, he had rich combat experience. Moreover, he had just comprehended a true meaning of Tao. As long as he did not encounter a nascent soul cultivator, he was confident that he could defeat his opponent. Hu Yan shook his head, we still have to be cautious. The first rule of us hunters is to be cautious. Any planet could have fatal dangers. Let's see if there is any other important information on this planet. Although Chu Zay was impulsive, he also understood that Hu Yan's words made sense. He continued to search for other information. Strange. In the past 100 years, there have been 4 spirit chi recoveries here. This has never been seen on other life planets. There are a lot of wild animals called monsters on this planet. Their numbers are actually more than the human race. This is a disgrace to the human race. Captain, look at what this is. There are actually demons on this planet. Chu Zay suddenly exclaimed. From the astrolabe phantom, he waved his hand and called up a virtual video that was being played. It was the live broadcast video of Dragon Python and Black Tortoise testifying for Jiang Ci and the other 2. Dragon Python. Black Tortoise. This is the top bloodline of the demon race. I didn't expect that this desolate planet still has it. Hu Yan could not maintain his composure at this moment. His expression changed drastically. Chapter 239. There were countless races in the universe. The human race, the demon race, and the ghost race were the top races. Naturally, they were hostile to each other and fought against each other. The human race had occupied the 9 major galaxies with their powerful strength and had killed all the demon and ghost races there. Therefore, there were no demon races in the 9 major galaxies of the Taoist alliance. Only in some powerful immortal Tao sects or ancient families could they occasionally be seen. These ancient inheritances liked to use demons as servants, such as pulling carriages or guarding doors. The dragon python is rumored to have the bloodline of the winged dragon. Those ancient inheritances will definitely be tempted. Although this dragon python is only at the golden core stage, if it is auctioned, it will definitely be sold for a few million, if not 10 million. The black tortoise is not bad either. This bloodline is very rare even in the demon race's galaxy. Hu Yan's eyes lit up. This time, they had really found a treasure. They had actually encountered 2 top bloodlines of the demon race on a 3rd-grade life planet. At the same time, he was also puzzled. Was the history of the civilization on this planet really less than 6,000 years old? Continue to search and see if there is any other secret information. Hu Yan remained calm. Chu Zay was the only one in the team who had studied technology. He used the astrolabe to search quickly. Compared to the Eye of Heaven, which was the pinnacle of the Taoist Alliance's technological civilization, Earth's technology was too primitive. The Eye of Heaven covered the entire universe. Through the astrolabe and communication beads, one could establish contact with the Eye of Heaven. Chu Zhe searched for a while more, and his frown deepened. Finally, he said with a shocked expression, "Captain, there is a Grotto Heaven secret realm on this planet." Grotto Heaven secret realm. Hu Yan and Qiu Hong's expressions changed drastically. That was a powerful technique. Normally, only those who had comprehended the space Tao of the Heaven and Earth Tao had the strength to open up a Grotto Heaven secret realm. Such a powerhouse was at least at the nascent soul stage. And there is more than one. There are more than 10 Grotto Heaven secret realms. Chu Zhe felt his throat go dry. For a nascent soul stage cultivator, opening up a Grotto Heaven secret realm with a radius of 100 miles was already the limit. If there were 10 Grotto Heaven secret realms, then there were 10 nascent soul stage cultivators. They still did not know how big these Grotto Heaven secret realms were. Or was it an existence with an even higher cultivation? No matter how calm Hu Yan was now, his face was filled with disbelief. He continued asking, "Do these Grotto Heaven's secret realms still have Tao orthodoxies?" The specific situation of these Grotto Heavens should have been deliberately concealed by the natives of this planet. However, we can be sure that these Grotto Heavens are in an abandoned state, Chu Zhe replied. Abandoned? That's right. If the expert who opened the Grotto Heaven secret realm was still here, we wouldn't have been able to approach this planet so quietly. Just now, when we were 10,000 miles away, they could have killed us. Hu Yan exhaled, trying to calm the shock in his heart. Then, he speculated, "I think we might have encountered the ruins of a civilization. There used to be a powerful civilization on this planet, and the current civilization was built on an ancient ruin." Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong nodded in agreement. "Captain, this just shows that the value of this planet is higher than we thought." The excitement of the three could no longer be described with words. They couldn't wait to rush into the planet and plunder everything inside. This was a wild planet that hid a great deal of value, and the strongest cultivator was only at the late Golden Core realm. Such a lucky chance was simply given away for free. Now, Hu Yan took a deep breath and prepared to control the flying ship to land on the surface of the planet. At this moment, he frowned and took out his communication pearl. He saw that the rune mark on the communication pearl was glowing. Someone was sending him a message. The heavenly eye of the Taoist Alliance covered the entire universe. As long as the communication pearl's grade was high enough, it could be used to send messages no matter how remote the place was. It's a message from the sect. Seeing that we have broken through the chaotic star belt, they want to come and pick the fruits of our labor? Hu Yan's face turned cold. In the past 2 months, the news of their team breaking through the chaotic star belt had spread among the wanderers in the pale blue star region. Then, he asked Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong to wait on the deck of the flying ship while he walked into the flying ship's cultivation cabin. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong looked at each other. While they were worried, their faces were a little ugly. The three of them came from the same immortal Tao sect, Qing Xian sect. Qing Xian sect was one of the top 10 immortal Tao sects in the pale blue star region. As the number one genius of the sect, Hu Yan should have enjoyed the best cultivation environment and resources in Qing Xian sect. Now, he had become a starry sky wanderer who walked the line between life and death all year round. The reason was simple. Hu Yan had been excluded. The Qing Xian sect's disciple whose talent was second only to Hu Yan was the only son of the current sect master. At the same time, he was also the only descendant of Qing Xian sect's old ancestor. The existence of this relationship made Hu Yan's position in the sect very awkward. This was because Hu Yan's dream had always been to become the next sect master of Qing Xian sect. In the end, this wish was shattered, and the only son of the sect master was confirmed as the only candidate for the successor. Therefore, Hu Yan left Qing Xian sect in anger and took Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong to explore the starry sky. Back then, the sect didn't care about Brother Hu Yan's feelings, and now they took the initiative to send a message. How shameless! Qiu Hong said disdainfully. Be careful with your words. Chu Zhe frowned. The flying ship's internal facilities were complete, including a control cabin, a cultivation cabin, and a hibernation cabin. At this time, in the cultivation cabin, Hu Yan held the communication bead with a tense face. After hesitating for a moment, he decided to open the communication bead. After all, he was still a disciple of Qing Xian sect. The sect master of Qing Xian sect was his master. He scanned with his spiritual sense and the communication mark was activated. A phantom that looked exactly like a real person appeared in the cultivation cabin. It was actually a young man, but the vicissitudes in his eyes showed that he had lived for at least 1,000 years. This person was the sect master of Qing Xian sect, Qing Yi. Greetings, master. Hu Yan bowed expressionlessly. Why? Do you still have resentment against me? Qing Yi smiled. I wouldn't dare. If you say you wouldn't dare, then you do. You haven't sent me a message for so many years. Your hard-hearted character hasn't changed at all. No matter how hard I am, I'm not as hard as master. Hu Yan couldn't hold back his resentment. Ha, my disciple knows me best. Qing Yi laughed. Then, he changed the topic and said seriously, Yan, come back. I've already asked the old ancestor. As long as you come back, the position of the next sect master will be yours. Hu Yan was moved. To him, Qing Xian's sect was his home, and he had a special relationship with it. However, after 100 years of experience as a space hunter, he quickly cast aside the softness in his heart. He became expressionless again and said calmly, You want me to hand over the harvest in the chaotic star belt to the sect? That's right. There's a big secret in the core area of the chaotic star belt that involves a lot of things. With your strength, it'll be a disaster in your hands. Disciple, master won't harm you. This is for your own good. Qing Yi nodded. What big secret? Hu Yan asked. Chapter 240. I don't know about this either. This is what the old ancestor told me. Wait a moment, the old ancestor will come over to discuss this with you in detail. Qing Ye's expression was extremely serious. Hu Yan was slightly stunned. Old ancestor. In the pale blue star region, old ancestor Qing Xian was a famous legendary cultivator. He was born ordinary, but he had made a name for himself in the pale blue star region, where the strong gathered. He had even killed a cultivator in the nascent soul realm with his late-stage nascent soul realm cultivation. The Qing Xian sect he founded eventually became one of the top 10 immortal sects in the pale blue star region. In Hu Yan's heart, old ancestor Qing Xian was his most admired role model. He had left the Qing Xian sect in a fit of anger because he wanted to imitate old ancestor Qing Xian's deeds. Now, the old ancestor was going to meet him in person. Hu Yan immediately became excited. The Qing Xian sect had been established for 2,000 years, but the disciples who had really seen old ancestor Qing Xian could be counted on one hand. In just a moment, another perfected person's phantom appeared beside Qing Yi. It was a 15 or 16-year-old boy who looked younger than Qing Yi and Hu Yan. This person had an ordinary appearance, long red hair, deep eyes, wearing a blood-red spiritual weapon battle suit, and carrying a long saber on his back. Even through the communication bead, one could feel a strong murderous aura. He was old ancestor Qing Xian, known as the blood disciple in the pale blue star region. Disciple of the Qing Xian sect, Hu Yan, greets the old ancestor. Hu Yan directly knelt on the ground. Get up. Old ancestor Qing Xian's voice gave people a feeling of falling into the netherworld. It was very cold. Tell me in detail the process of you breaking through the chaotic star belt. Old ancestor Qing Xian's words were not to be refuted. It took me 3 years, Hu Yan respectfully recounted the experience of how he broke through the chaotic star belt. In the end, he said, in fact, when I was in the most dangerous area of the chaotic star belt, I almost died. In the end, I relied on luck to pass through and entered a desolate galaxy. Did you find anything else? Old ancestor Qing Xian asked. I found a planet suspected to have a powerful civilization. Then there's no mistake. The planet in the depths of the chaotic star belt must be the one that the Tao Alliance once looked for, the place where the two Tao integration powerhouses died. Old ancestor Qing Xian's words were shocking. The information he revealed shocked Hu Yan and Qing Yi. Two Tao integration stage super mighty figures died on that planet. Why had they never heard of it before? These are things that happened 10,000 years ago. You don't need to know the secrets within. Hu Yan, old ancestor Qing Xian didn't reveal too much. He looked at Hu Yan and said, tell me about the situation of this planet. Hu Yan hurriedly recounted the information he had obtained through the astrolabe. Upon hearing this, Patriarch Qing Xian was visibly moved as well. He was even more certain that this was the planet that the Tao Alliance had been searching for. He had lived for thousands of years and knew many secrets. At this moment, the shock in his heart was much more than Hu Yan and Qing Yi. Qing Xian knew very well that if the outside world knew about this planet of life called Earth, it would definitely cause an uproar. I thought it was just the place where two Tao integration stage super mighty figures perished. I didn't expect it to have so many secrets. Dragon Python, Black Tortoise, Top Demon Bloodline, more than 10 grotto heavens and secret realms. If I, Qing Xian, obtain this planet, I might have a chance to attain Tao integration. Thinking of this, he asked in a deep voice, Hu Yan, are you willing to hand over this planet to the sect? I am willing. Hu Yan did not hesitate. After knowing the true value of this planet, Hu Yan understood that this planet was no longer something that he could possess with his current strength. Good. Now go and record the original data of this planet in detail with the astrolabe. I will wait for your good news. Qing Xian said. Yes, Master. Hu Yan left with a straight face. When he returned, he was full of smiles. This made Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong heave a sigh of relief. It seemed that there was a good result. Let's go and descend on this planet. Hu Yan was filled with pride. Just now, old ancestor Qing Xian had personally promised him that when he returned, he would be the successor of the Qing Xian sect leader. What he needed to do now was to use the astrolabe to collect the data and then send it back to the Qing Xian sect. This was because according to the Tao Alliance's decree, if one wanted to apply to become the overlord of a savage planet, one must provide all the original data of the planet. The Tao Alliance only recognized the most original data. Even replicated data was not allowed. Under the scrutiny of the heavenly eye, no one could fake it. The flying ship silently passed through the Earth's atmosphere and stopped above the Pacific Ocean. Hu Yan ordered, go and capture those few golden core cultivators first. Those golden core cultivators will be sold to slave traders for a high price. Of course, compared to the value of this planet, the golden core cultivators were just a small amount of money. The main reason for doing this was to deal with the high-end power of this planet. After that, it would be much more convenient to collect the original data. This was the common method for discovering savage planets. Let's split up. Starting from the early golden core stage, I will deal with the dragon python and the black tortoise. Finally, we will capture the 3 strongest ones. The 3 of them split up and disappeared above the Pacific Ocean. On the other side of the ocean, Dark Shadow Nation, Grand Canyon of Kodo. The natural wonder of the old era had become a sacred place of the Dark Shadow Nation in the new era. This was because this was the place where the Dark Shadow Nation's guardian, Ramsey, lived in seclusion. Ramsey had reached the early Golden Core stage 3 months ago and did not make it to the Holy Alliance's Battle of the Holy City. This made him very happy. Otherwise, he would be the same as those Golden Core cultivators who died in the Holy City. Although the Great Xia Nation is detestable, there are some ancient sayings that make sense. They once said that the path of cultivation is not about who is the most powerful, but who can live longer. I escaped the holy city's massacre and reached the golden core stage. Therefore, I am the strongest cultivator of the 4 great nations aside from the great Xia nation. Ramsay faced the moonlight and sat cross-legged on a huge rock in the Grand Canyon of Kodo, cultivating in a very relaxed manner. Suddenly, a cool breeze blew past. Who is it? Ramsay's expression changed greatly. He discovered that a strange youth wearing soft armor had appeared in front of him. This person looked very similar to the people of the Great Xia Nation. When did the Great Xia Nation have another golden core cultivator? Ramsay immediately became vigilant. The person who had come was Chu Zhe. After he saw Ramsay's cultivation, he sneered. Your spiritual power is so heterogeneous. You can be considered a golden core cultivator. I'm afraid you're not even worth 10,000. Of course, he was speaking in the common language of the Taoist alliance. Ramsay did not understand. Ramsay was at a loss for a moment, but he sensed hostility. He raised his hand and punched out. Your attacks are too crude. Chu Zhe's face was full of mockery, but his attack was like thunder. A black rope flew out from his hand like lightning and tied Ramsay up. Ramsay fell unconscious and did not have any room to resist. The goods cannot be damaged. Otherwise, the price will be lowered when we sell them. Chu Zhe shook his head. Chapter 241. Mountain's secret realm in the Great Xia Kingdom. The existence of the dragon python made this place one of the most dangerous places in the Great Xia Kingdom. However, half a year ago, the dragon python and the black tortoise stood up for Jiang Xi and the other two, which won the favor of the people of the Great Xia Kingdom. So in the past 6 months, they got along quite well, and the pressure on the Yi army was reduced a lot. On this day, the Yi army found that in the Yi Mountain's secret realm, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and cold wind raged. Roar! Finally, there was a powerless roar. Feng Yu, the commander of the Yi army, felt that something was wrong and reported the situation to the higher-ups. No one noticed that only a few minutes later, many lakes on an island not far from the Jianghai prefecture suddenly froze. A black tortoise fell into a coma and was tied up with a rope and taken away. Similar scenes appeared all over the earth. Over the Pacific Ocean. Inside the flying ship that was enveloped by a formation barrier. In less than an hour, all the golden core cultivators and demons on Earth, except for Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai, were captured. Hu Yan and the other two were all at the late stage of the golden core realm and had rich combat experience. These golden core cultivators and demons on Earth were no match for them at all. Although the dragon python and the black tortoise's strength was comparable to the late stage of the golden core realm by virtue of their bloodline, their opponent was Hu Yan, whose combat strength was comparable to the nascent soul realm. Facing Hu Yan, the two demons were completely defeated after a few moves. There are only 3 left, 1 for each of us. Hu Yan laughed. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong also showed a relaxed and confident smile. The process of capture just now also made them really confirm that the natives of this planet were really vulnerable. Without any inheritance, their attack methods were very crude, and some even relied on brute force. Then, the 3 set off again and flew in 3 directions in the Great Xia Kingdom. 2 moons hung in the sky. Jiang Xi was passing the assassination Dao inheritance from Daoist Ji's inherited memory to Jiang Daodu. The little girl had successfully visualized and condensed her spiritual sense. She had become a spirit accumulation cultivator and could start to officially cultivate when she really entered the sect. Even a late-stage spirit accumulation cultivator would be injured in the face of her assassination. Brother, when are you going to bring me to travel to other planets? After a day of classes, Jiang Dudu excitedly asked this question. Because Jiang Xi had told her that she had to reach the spirit nurturing stage before she could perform interstellar teleportation. I'll bring you there after you've mastered the assassination inheritance. Jiang Xi took on the role of a parent and educated him in a remunerative manner. You didn't keep your word. Jiang Dudu threw a tantrum. Then I'll take you there tomorrow, yay. Although Jiang Dudu was almost an adult, she would still act like a child in front of Jiang Xi. Only in front of outsiders would he appear more mature. After returning home, Jiang Dudu continued to watch her horror movie while Jiang Xi continued his training in the underground training room. In the past month or so, he had been concentrating on deducing his Dao technique, wanting to advance it to the next level. Between the Gale intent and the Sword intent, the latter was stronger. In terms of difficulty in deducing, the latter was naturally more difficult. Previously, he had deduced both Dao intents and deduced more than 1,000 times. After that, he wanted to focus on the easier one first. Hence, in the past month or so, he had been deducing the Gale intent. I've deduced the Gale intent almost 1,000 times. If I don't break through, Jiang Xi shook his head. He really wanted to scold someone. Next, he deduced again according to the standard of 10 times a day. The result was still a failure. Do I really have to deduce 1,000 times before I can succeed? Then I'll put in a lot of effort today and do 1,000 times. He carefully recalled and calculated. The total number of deductions for the Gale intent had already reached 910 times. Use the Gale intent to deduce once. Deduction failed, use the Gale intent to deduce once. Deduction failed, he repeated this 89 times until the 90th time, deduction failed. Jiang Xi's face was a little dark, but he understood that although the success rate of deduction was related to the completeness of the Dao technique, it also depended on luck. It didn't mean that if the Dao technique was complete, it could be deduced in one go. Let's take it slow. It was just like winning a lottery. This was also the reason why he had been deducing 10 times a day. After he was done with the Dao technique, Jiang Xi continued to comprehend Daoist Ge's inherited memories. His comprehension was not bad and he had already grasped the basics of a few mystic techniques. This was also the only improvement he had made in the past month. With these mystic techniques, he had many more tricks up his sleeves and improved his strength. Buzz buzz, his tactical communications watch vibrated. He took a look and saw that it was a call from Huang Kuan. It's so late, although Jiang Xi was puzzled, he still hurriedly answered. It must be something urgent. Huang Kuan's heavy voice came from the other side of the phone. Jiang Xi, the higher-ups just received news from the Zhenyi army and several reclusive families. The dragon python seems to be in an abnormal situation. Several golden core cultivators of the reclusive families were also attacked and kidnapped. You, be careful. Jiang Xi's expression changed. These were all golden core cultivators. Now on Earth, Jiang Xi was confident that no one except him and the Xian Tian could directly capture these people. Then who could it be? Was there an unknown powerhouse awakening? Suddenly, his heart throbbed. His sharp spirit sense told him that there was danger approaching. He immediately spread out his spirit sense. The next moment, Jiang Xi discovered that a young man wearing a spirit artifact battle suit appeared in the sky above Tongtian district. Late-stage golden core. Starry Sky Hunter. Jiang Xi instantly recognized this person's identity because there were no spirit chi battle suits on Earth. Moreover, he felt a strong threat from this person. At the same time, he also realized that the situation Huang Kuan mentioned just now was done by this person. Daodu. Come to the practice room. His first reaction was to ask Daodu to come down. Jiang Dudu's cultivation was already at the spirit nurturing stage. In just a second, she arrived. The little girl's face was full of doubts. The first plan. Jiang Xi didn't talk nonsense. After returning from the blue planet, out of caution, he had imagined all kinds of dangerous situations. Then, he and Jiang Dudu agreed on an escape plan. Jiang Dudu's expression changed. She remembered what Jiang Xi said last time. The first plan was to escape using the teleportation array. The second plan was to escape using the teleportation array. But the second plan was to directly teleport to the first moon, and then through the interstellar teleportation array to other planets with life. She knew the seriousness of the matter and immediately stepped into the teleportation array in the practice room. Jiang Xi made a gesture to activate the teleportation array. "Brother, you should hurry up too." Before Jiang Duda disappeared, her eyes stared at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi nodded solemnly. When Jiang Duda's figure disappeared, he understood that he couldn't escape. The starry sky hunter above was about to make a move. Chapter 242. In the sky above Tongtian district. He found me. Using the teleportation array to escape. Hu Yan was interested. He used his spiritual consciousness to investigate everything that was happening below. He wasn't being arrogant. He just wanted to see how this golden core cultivator called Jiang Xi was different from the natives they caught just now. In the 9 major galaxies of the Tao Alliance, if they met a cultivator who knew teleportation arrays, they would usually treat them with respect. This was because teleportation arrays were very rare and required a lot of inheritance. There were very few cultivators who knew about teleportation arrays. I might be able to get the inheritance of teleportation arrays from him. Hu Yan was looking forward to it. When he saw Jiang Xi sending his family members away using the teleportation array, he made his move. Jiang Xi was his target. He couldn't let him escape. Whoosh! Hu Yan gently struck out with his palm. The temperature of the area immediately dropped. Mid-autumn had just passed, but snowflakes were floating and cold winds were howling. In the blink of an eye, the entire Tongtian district, with Villa number 92 as the center, turned into a world covered in frost. Everything became slow. Whoosh! Suddenly, a figure soared into the sky, turned into a gust of wind, and flashed away in the air. The complete true intent of Tao. Hu Yan was surprised. What he used just now was the frost domain. The Tao domain was a Tao technique of a higher level than the true intent of Tao. He could have the combat power of a nascent soul cultivator with his late-stage golden core cultivation. The main reason was that he had already comprehended 40% of the frost domain. Even a nascent soul cultivator's speed would be affected in his domain. As for a golden core cultivator, just like the dragon python and black tortoise, their speed would be reduced to the point that they wouldn't even have the chance to resist. And now, this late-stage golden core cultivator called Riverward was actually able to fly at an extremely fast speed in the frost domain. Hu Yan saw the wind circling Jiang Xi's body. There are only 2 possibilities to get rid of the influence of the frost domain. His strength is far greater than mine, or he has comprehended the complete true intent of Tao. Obviously, he is the latter. Because his frost domain was not complete, he had only comprehended 40% of it. Its power was not at its strongest. Hu Yan knew that Jiang Xi was the #1 expert among the natives of this planet, but he didn't expect that Jiang Xi could actually reach such a height. This native was not ordinary. Being able to comprehend a complete true Tao insight in an environment like the wilderness, such natural talent and comprehension ability is only a level lower than mine. Hu Yan laughed. This native could be sold for a high price. Then, his figure flashed as he chased after Jiang Xi. This night was destined to be an eventful one. The martial artists in Skycut district looked at the strange weather in shock. Only their area was snowing. The rest of Pak Sun province was normal. The higher-ups of the martial arts circle in Pak Sun province knew what was going on. They had all noticed the 2 figures that had flashed across the sky just now. Did Jiang Xi encounter an enemy? Many people began to worry. Jiang Xi was now one of the 3 pillars of the Great Xia Kingdom, and nothing must happen to him. At the same time, about 500 kilometers away from Pak Sun province, in the middle of a barren mountain, the teleportation formation that Jiang Xi had set up beforehand lit up. In the next moment, Jiang Daodu's figure appeared in the teleportation formation. Jiang Daodu clenched her fist as she stared at the teleportation formation that had returned to normal. However, after a breath, the teleportation formation remained still. Brother! Jiang Daodu's worry rose to the highest level. She flew to the top of the barren mountain and looked towards the east. With her current strength, she could feel that there were two powerful auras approaching the East Sea at an extremely fast speed. One of them was Jiang Ci. Find brother Xian Tian and sister Bai Bai. Jiang Daodu quickly sent a message. Only these two people could help Jiang Ci now. She had followed Jiang Ci before and met Xian Tian and Li Bai Bai. She knew the relationship between the three of them. Fighting. Fighting. Two similar messages were sent back. Jiang Daodu's expression changed. Brother Xian Tian and sister Bai Bai have encountered an enemy too. It was indeed as she thought. At the same time, a huge battle broke out in Xian Tian City, Luo City Prefecture, and the nearby wilderness area. Jiang Ci flew at an extremely fast speed until he reached the sky above the East Sea. When the interstellar wanderer attacked, he knew that a huge battle was unavoidable. A late-stage golden core cultivator with a path domain. Under the path domain, he did not even have the chance to activate the teleportation formation. He could only fight. However, the battle could not be carried out in Pak Sun Province. The aftermath of the battle between two late-stage golden core cultivators could turn the entire Pak Sun Province into ruins. That was why he came to the sky above the East Sea, which was far away from the land of the Great Xia Kingdom. Brother and sister Bai Bai are also fighting. There is more than one interstellar wanderer. Jiang Ci's face darkened. He sent a message to Xian Tian and Li Bai Bai, but all he received was fighting. Interstellar wanderers were usually in small teams. Only the powerful ones would travel alone. This person's path domain is not complete. I still have a chance. Since it is unavoidable, then let's fight. Jiang Ci felt that his fighting spirit was starting to boil. He had two complete true meaning of Tao, so he might not be weaker than the interstellar wanderer. Behind him, Hu Yan had already caught up. Hu Yan was very surprised because Jiang Ci's speed was beyond his imagination. The true meaning of Tao related to the wind is indeed powerful. Fortunately, I have the frost domain, which can limit the speed. Hu Yan was very confident. The two of them faced each other in the sky above the East Sea. You are qualified to know my name. Remember, my name is Hu Yan. Hu Yan was the first to speak. He used a very stiff Great Xia language, which they had learned when they hacked into Earth's network. How did you discover Earth? Jiang Ci asked in a deep voice. This was an important question. You are just a native. You don't need to know. Be smart and let yourself be captured. Save yourself the trouble. Hu Yan grinned. Although he was confident that he could defeat Jiang Ci, it would definitely take some effort. He might even injure Jiang Ci if the goods were injured, he would have to spend money to heal them. What nonsense are you thinking? Jiang Ci flipped his hand and took out the profound condensation sword from his storage ring. Spiritual artifact, storage artifact. Hu Yan was stunned. He didn't understand the meaning of Jiang Ci's words, but Jiang Ci's action of flipping his hand and taking out the sword surprised him. This native actually had a spiritual artifact. After thinking about it, he understood that it must have been left behind by the previous civilization on this planet. Therefore, Hu Yan was even more expectant. After he dealt with Jiang Ci, Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong dealt with the other two. They could begin to collect the original data of this planet. At that time, they could also dig up the things left behind by the previous civilization. You have guts. Hu Yan made his move. He directly took out the spiritual artifact rope used to tie people up and attacked Jiang Ci like lightning. Crack! Jiang Ci raised his sword and displayed the complete true meaning of sword. The dense sword shadow condensed into a thin layer and covered the sword, emitting a powerful Tao rhyme. With just a sweep, the spiritual artifact rope was cut into two. Chapter 243. What? Hu Yan was shocked. The spirit-binding rope that was effective against indigenous cultivators was actually cut in half by a sword. His spirit-binding rope was a low-grade spirit artifact, and it was effective against indigenous cultivators. I told you. Are you dreaming? Jiang Xi sneered. He could feel Hu Yan's condescending attitude. Did he really think of him as an indigenous cultivator? Who was he looking down on? Hu Yan's expression was grave. He was going to be serious. His surprise was not only because of the broken spirit-binding rope. It was also because of the sword intent that Jiang Xi had displayed just now. That was the pinnacle of Tao intent. It was also complete. This indigenous cultivator's strength had greatly exceeded his expectations. Comprehending two complete Tao intents at the late-stage Golden Core realm. This kind of talent is not much different from mine. If he was born on another planet of the Tao Alliance, he could definitely easily join a powerful immortal Tao sect like the Zhangyan sect. Hu Yan knew that it was impossible to capture this indigenous cultivator in one piece. Frost Domain. With a thought, an invisible Tao aura descended and immediately spread out. The temperature of this world plummeted, and frost and snow fell. In this domain, one's speed would be severely affected. However, Jiang Xi had already made his move a moment ago. Swoosh! The sword shadow was accompanied by a gust of wind, cutting open the frost domain and suddenly piercing towards Hu Yan. Before it even got close, its speed was restricted by the frost domain and reduced by a lot. This was different from the feeling in Tongtian district just now. Previously, he was at the edge of the domain, and now he was at the place where the frost domain was the strongest, and he was affected the most. Under my frost domain, even an early-stage nascent soul cultivator's speed will be affected. Your struggle is futile. Hu Yan chuckled, and with confidence, he struck out a palm at the same time. The frost palm directly hit Jiang Xi's sword shadow. The collision produced a huge power that swept through heaven and earth. Boom! Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in this sea area, rolling up stormy waves. Those waves that were nearly 100 meters high were frozen in the air by the frost before they fell, forming an ice wonder. Very strong. If this goes on, I will definitely lose. I have to think of something. Jiang Xi felt the chill in the air, and his heart sank. With his two true intents of Tao, he was confident that he could fight against an early-stage nascent soul cultivator. But this Hu Yan before his eyes, his combat strength had clearly reached middle-stage nascent soul. He would definitely lose if the battle dragged on. Boom! In the frost domain, Hu Yan's strength was at its strongest. Tyrannical fist and palm prints attacked Jiang Xi. The frozen waves on the surface of the sea exploded under the pressure of this aura. Jiang Xi brandished his sword to meet the attack, relying on the speed of the gale to contend with it. At the same time, he remained calm. His mind raced as he considered how to deal with the current situation. So we can only rely on luck. Jiang Xi sighed in his heart. He quickly went through the methods he currently possessed in his mind. In the end, he realized that he still had to return to the EXP panel. The only method was to deduce. If he could deduce the next level of the Tao art, his strength would obtain a qualitative improvement. Jiang Xi didn't waste any time and immediately began to deduce. Use the true meaning of gale to deduce once. Deduction failed, use the true meaning of gale to deduce once. Deduction failed. Compared to the true meaning of sword, the true meaning of gale was even easier to deduce. Jiang Xi retreated and dodged the attacks as he continued to deduce. Almost 10 times per second. Under the night sky, above the East Sea, thunder rumbled and cold wind howled. The powerful aura's aftermath could be felt by the entire coastal area. Hu Yan relied on his crushing strength to control the rhythm of the battle very well. While suppressing Jiang Xi, he also ensured that he wouldn't kill Jiang Xi. If he killed him, it would be a pity. Such a genius, if captured and sold to slave merchants, would be worth at least 1 million low-grade spirit crystals, which was equivalent to a first-grade life planet. It's useless to resist. I won't kill you, and I'll even find you a good family. Hu Yan's frost domain had been suppressing Jiang Xi. If you don't know how to speak, then don't speak. Jiang Xi was furious when he heard this. He waved his hand and slashed out a large sword light. I'm trying to persuade you. Don't regret it. Hu Yan laughed. Jiang Xi ignored him and used the true meaning of gale and true meaning of sword to the extreme. If he didn't have two complete true meaning of Dao, he would have been defeated long ago. Use the true meaning of gale to deduce once. Deduction successful, you have comprehended the gale domain. Experience points plus 1 million, Jiang Xi was stunned. This time, he had only deduced less than 100 times, and he had already succeeded. Boom! A huge palm formed by frost and snowflakes approached. Jiang Xi didn't have time to react. He subconsciously raised his sword. Whoosh! Suddenly, a gale swept across the sky like a ghost's howl. The snowflakes and frost that filled the sky instantly dissipated. Gale domain. What? Hu Yan's face was full of shock. Domain power. This native had actually broken through right in front of him. What kind of terrifying talent was this? This person can't be left alive. Even if he's captured as a slave, he might still be able to cultivate to the primordial soul stage and break through the slave's spiritual consciousness restriction. Hu Yan's killing intent rose. There was a principle in the slave trade that they couldn't capture cultivators with outstanding talent as slaves. Once a slave reached the primordial soul stage, they would have the ability to break through the spiritual consciousness restriction. After a slave broke free from his master's control, it was not uncommon to kill his master and the starry sky hunters who captured him. Previously, when Jiang Xi's talent was weaker than his, he wasn't worried about this. But now, Jiang Xi's talent was obviously more powerful than his. Eliminating the threat was more important than exchanging it for money. Kill. Hu Yan's frost domain suddenly shrank 100 times. The ice and frost only circled within a 10-meter radius around him. At the same time, a layer of frost armor condensed on his body, shining brightly under the moonlight. You're very lucky to be able to see my strongest state. Hu Yan's figure flashed, and he fiercely threw a punch at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi didn't have time to feel the gale domain that he had just obtained. He could only rely on the relevant comprehension in his mind to defend. Gale shield. Bang! Jiang Xi was directly sent flying by the punch. His body flew back tens of thousands of meters uncontrollably. The intense pain all over his body and the bone-chilling cold transmitted into Jiang Xi's brain nerves. Although it was painful, it made his mind extremely clear and calm. The power of his domain has increased by at least 10 times. Compared to his domain, my domain is much weaker. Fortunately, I had the beast skin of a nascent soul stage demon to help me defend. Otherwise, I would have been dead by now. The clothes on Jiang Xi's body had been damaged under the extreme cold of the frost domain. What was exposed now was the vest and pants that were simply cut from the beast skin of a nascent soul stage demon. Eat the spiritual fruit to increase the experience of the gale domain. With a calm mind, Jiang Xi reacted quickly and made a decision in an instant. Chapter 244. At the same time, Hu Yan was even more shocked. His move just now was his strongest move. It could definitely kill a late-stage golden core in an instant. Even an early-stage nascent soul would be injured. That's the skin of a late-stage nascent soul great demon. He saw the beast skin on Jiang Xi's body clearly. No wonder. Even the skin of a late-stage nascent soul great demon can't offset all of my attack power. With a few more punches, I'll shock you to death. Hu Yan was still very confident. His entire body was covered in frost armor. He was like a god of war under the moon. With a thought, he was about to catch up with Jiang Xi again. At this moment, he saw Jiang Xi take out a 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit and eat it. His body began to expand. Do you want to be a full ghost? The spiritual energy of the 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit can directly explode you. Hu Yan sneered. In the next moment, his smile froze. After Jiang Xi's body expanded several times like a balloon, it returned to normal in less than a breath. At the same time, the Gale domain around Jiang Xi's body was obviously strengthened. How is that possible? Hu Yan was dumbfounded. Eating fruits could make one stronger, he had never seen it before. At this time, Jiang Xi ate another 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit. Increase 50,000 Gale domain experience points. Increase 50,000 Gale domain experience points. In just 1 second, he increased it 5 times before he completely digested all of the spiritual energy. His entire body was dripping with blood. His skin, blood vessels, muscles, bones, and even his internal organs were all torn to varying degrees. The spiritual energy contained in the 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit was indeed not what he could withstand at this stage. If not for the experience points panel digesting it in time, he would definitely explode. This kind of dangerous increase in exchange for a huge gain. Gale domain, 500,000/5 million, a 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit could provide 250,000 points of spiritual energy. Just 2 fruits allowed the comprehension of the Gale domain to reach 10%. Not enough. Continue to increase. Continue to eat. His current domain power was still far from Hu Yan's. Previously, he had brought back 110,000-year-old spiritual fruits from the pale blue planet. I can't let him eat anymore. A bad feeling rose in Hu Yan's heart as he unleashed his frost domain to the extreme. Under the extreme cold, the rolling waves below instantly condensed into ice spears. Spears rained down on Jiang Xi. Die! At this moment, Jiang Xi had finished digesting the third 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit. Gale. The wind was like a shield, and the power of the domain was like a shield, blocking most of the power of the ice spear. The remaining power was neutralized by the nascent soul stage great demonic beast skin. With 2 layers of protection, Jiang Xi could already barely block Hu Yan's attack. Hu Yan was overwhelmed with shock in his heart. Too terrifying. In the short span of a dozen breaths, a native that he had crushed had almost caught up to him in strength. What Jiang Xi had shown was already beyond the early nascent soul stage. Whoosh! He turned into a cold shadow and suddenly arrived in front of Jiang Xi. The fist covered by the frost battle armor smashed onto Jiang Xi's body. Boom! This time, Jiang Xi was only sent flying nearly 1,000 meters and forcefully withstood it. At this time, he had just finished digesting the fourth 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit. 20% Gale domain. Impossible. Impossible. No matter how calm and composed Hu Yan was, his heart was also somewhat in a mess. Jiang Xi's speed of improvement made him doubt life. This kind of improvement was simply impossible. Never seen before, never heard of before. Boom. 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 The frost fist seals that constantly blasted out emitted a dazzling brilliance under the moonlight, causing people to be alarmed. But they were all blocked by Jiang Xi's Gale domain, and it was getting easier and easier. 5th fruit, 6th fruit. Whoosh! On the profound condensation sword body, the sword true intent condensed into a sword shadow Dao rune. Wrapped in the Gale domain, it emitted a shocking power. Jiang Xi swung out a sword and directly scattered Hu Yan's fist seal. This is impossible. What kind of monster is this? Inheritance, he must have obtained the inheritance left behind by a civilization on this planet. Hu Yan's breathing became hurried, he found it hard to believe. In just a few short minutes, this native went from being chased by him to barely blocking his attack, and now easily defeating his attack. He had completed a shocking improvement. Hu Yan's intuition told him that this would be the greatest danger he had encountered in his life as a hunter. If he was not careful, he would be buried on this native planet. Kill. Hu Yan's expression was grave as he tried his best to stabilize his somewhat flustered mind. In an instant, he blasted out hundreds of punches. The power of the frost domain caused this part of the sea to directly condense into ice. Ha, good timing. Jiang Xi's body was covered in blood. Although he looked extremely miserable, his eyes were very bright. He had already completely sorted out the situation in his body. The chaotic spirit energy had returned to normal. The newly obtained Gale domain directly spread out. Within the domain, his speed had a qualitative leap. His entire body seemed to be flashing, erratic. Ordinary people's eyesight would not be able to capture his figure. Whoosh! The sword shadow was like a curtain. When the Gale domain counteracted the opponent's frost domain. At this time, the sword intent revealed its powerful might. In just an instant, it dissolved the fist seals that filled the sky. In terms of attack, saber, sword, and other types of Dao intents were the best. Begin counterattack. Jiang Xi's figure flashed and flickered within the Gale domain. With the support of the domain power, he suddenly appeared in front of Hu Yan. Too fast. Hu Yan was greatly shocked. After he blasted out hundreds of punches, he did not have time to use his next move. Jiang Xi's current speed was the fastest among all the opponents he had encountered. Chi. The sword shadow pierced through space and instantly pierced dozens of holes in Hu Yan's body through the frost armor and spirit armor. The sword intent and the Gale domain power wreaked havoc in Hu Yan's body. Hu Yan's spirit energy immediately went out of control and lost his combat strength. The Gale domain dissipated, leaving only the whistling wind in this world. It's over. Hu Yan had wanted to condense another frost attack, but Jiang Xi's speed was too fast and he could not react in time. As his spirit energy dissipated, a final despair rose in his heart. He had no combat strength now, and Jiang Xi only needed one sword to sever his lifeline. Farewell, Azure Mystic Sect. Hu Yan closed his eyes, his heart filled with bitterness. His body fell uncontrollably onto the surface of the sea that had turned into ice. To be able to comprehend 40% of the Dao domain at the late-stage Golden Core realm, even in the 3 gates and 6 sects of the Dao Alliance, you are a top genius. At this time, Jiang Xi's voice rang in his ears. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Cripple. Hu Yan wanted to die with more dignity. However, he suddenly froze and was at a loss. Because Jiang Xi's words were not in the Great Xia language, but the very authentic common language of the Dao Alliance. How could it be? Wasn't Jiang Xi a native? Moreover, from Jiang Xi's words, this native even knew the core 9 immortal sects of the Dao Alliance, the 3 gates and 6 sects. You are not a native. Who are you? Hu Yan did not want to die without knowing why, so he asked. Who am I? A native of the Great Xia on earth. Jiang Xi grinned. His face was covered in blood from the rapid improvement just now, making his smile look very sinister, like a demon. Impossible. Hu Yan was furious and humiliated. He was about to die, but this person was still teasing him. Ha! If you don't believe me, then forget it. Jiang Xi defeated his opponent and felt relaxed. Then, he struck Hu Yan's head with his palm. Chapter 245. Hu Yan woke up and was at a loss. He should be dead, right? But how could he still have consciousness? Could it be that the legendary underworld really exists? When he was young, he had heard his master say that in ancient times, there was a mysterious underworld in the universe. After any living being died, their soul would return to the underworld and undergo reincarnation to start the next life. Hu Yan sighed in his heart. Forget it, forget it. The next life is also good. This time, he died too sullenly. You're awake. Come, eat this. A familiar voice sounded in Hu Yan's ears. Damn it. It's that native. I'm already dead, but he still won't let me go. But just as this thought appeared, he had a strong favorable impression of this voice. He felt that this voice was very pleasant to the ears, like the sound of an immortal in the mortal world. In the next moment, Hu Yan understood why. He felt somewhat helpless in his heart, but he didn't have any thoughts of resistance. He was under a spiritual sense restriction by Jiang Ci. Greetings, Master. This sea region seemed to have become the north and south poles, forming a thick layer of ice. Hu Yan got up from the ice layer and bowed respectfully to Jiang Ci. At the same time, he was very surprised. Because after a spiritual sense restriction was placed on a slave, they would more or less have resistance and hatred in the depths of their hearts. But in his current state, he only had a favorable impression of Jiang Ci. There was no hatred, anger, unwillingness, or any other negative emotions. Master's spiritual sense restriction is very profound. It seems to be directly used on the soul. It's different from the spiritual sense restriction used by those slave merchants. Hu Yan was even more curious. What was the origin of his master? Not only did his master know the Tao Alliance's 3 sects and 6 sects, but he also knew the most authentic common language of the Tao Alliance. He also knew a few formations and profound spiritual sense restrictions. While Hu Yan was sighing in his heart, Jiang Ci smiled and said again, "Eat this and treat your injuries." He handed over 1,000-year spiritual fruit. Thank you, Master. Hu Yan was very respectful. He felt a lot more relieved. His master could give him 1,000-year spiritual fruit to heal his injuries, indicating that this was a kind-hearted master. Unlike in the universe, many cultivators who bought slaves back would abuse them in every way possible. No need to call me master. Just call me Lord in the future. Yes, Lord Jiang Ci. Hu Yan ate the 1,000-year spiritual fruit and began to refine it to recover from his injuries. Jiang Ci took this opportunity to ask with a smile, "Are you still wondering about my origins?" Hu Yan hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "I'm not lying to you. I'm a native of this planet, but my master is from the starry sky. You should understand now." Jiang Ci did not hide this fact. He had already placed a spiritual sense restriction on Hu Yan, so he didn't have to worry that Hu Yan would leak it out. My lord is indeed powerful. Among all the cultivators I've seen, you're the most talented one. You're not bad either. I don't dare to be mentioned in the same breath as Sir. Jiang Ci smiled and did not continue this one-sided flattery. In the beginning, he planned on killing Hu Yan. However, when Hu Yan lost his ability to fight, he felt that it would be a pity to kill him. Because Hu Yan's talent and comprehension ability were indeed top-notch. He had gained insights into a Tao domain at the late-stage Golden Core realm. Furthermore, his insights had reached 40%. This kind of talent was even stronger than that Sungyan sect genius Feng Si that he saw on planet Kanglan the last time. It could be said that as long as there were no mistakes in the future, Hu Yan could easily break through to the essence soul realm. Then, Jiang Ci thought of those mystic arts and strange techniques that he had cultivated in the past month or so. He had mastered too, the soul-searching technique and the spiritual sense restriction. Among them, the soul-searching technique was against heaven and earth. After having one's soul searched, even if one did not die, they would become a fool. Therefore, he tested the spiritual sense restriction on Hu Yan. He did not expect that he would succeed on his first try. This spiritual sense restriction was a little thing that Daoist Gu meticulously designed after reaching peak Tao integration. Daoist Gu was an array formation expert. The array formation restriction that he designed, even if one's cultivation reached Dao integration, they would not be able to undo it. Therefore, Jiang Xi was not worried about Hu Yan's problems after cultivating his essence soul. Of course, even if there were problems, so what? He had the experience points panel. When Hu Yan cultivated to the essence soul realm, who knew what heights he would soar to? The inheritance left behind by Master is indeed magical. Jiang Xi sighed again and bowed 3 times in the direction of the first moon. After dealing with his opponent, he was no longer in a hurry. This was because Xian Tian and Li Baibai had already sent a message that both of them had successfully captured their opponents. The crisis was completely resolved. At the same time, Jiang Xi also reported his safety to Jiang Daodu at the first moment and asked the little girl to go home first. After a while, Hu Yan completely refined the spiritual fruit and his injuries recovered a little. The holes in his body were covered by flesh and blood again. Although his aura was still weak, he did not look so scary anymore. Where are the cultivators and great demons that you captured? Jiang Xi asked. Lord Jiang Xi, please follow me. Hu Yan led the way in front and flew towards the depths of the Pacific Ocean. On the way, Hu Yan could not help but ask, Lord Jiang Xi, what about my 2 companions? Them? Just like you, they were captured by my big brother and second sister, Jiang Xi said with a smile. Lord, please spare their lives. They were also obeying my orders. Hu Yan pleaded for his companions. Don't worry, I have my own plans. Jiang Xi nodded. He was quite satisfied with Hu Yan's temperament. He was not like those bloodthirsty starry sky hunters. Hu Yan heaved a sigh of relief. Soon, the 2 of them arrived above the Pacific Ocean. The flying boat was still there. Formation barrier. Jiang Xi smiled. There seemed to be nothing in front of him, but he had studied formations and noticed the difference. Lord is indeed amazing. Hu Yan praised. Stop flattering me, hurry up and open it. Jiang Xi scolded with a smile. With his current attainments in formations, he could not forcefully open the formation barrier here because his current research was mainly on teleportation formations, not other functional formations. Hu Yan hurriedly formed hand seals. Immediately, spirit qi surged and the barrier opened. A beautiful flying boat appeared out of thin air. Middle-grade spirit artifact flying boat, not bad. Jiang Xi nodded lightly. Thank you for your praise, Lord. I spent all my savings to buy this flying boat before I became a starry sky hunter. The maximum speed of travel can reach 200,000 kilometers per second, Hu Yan replied. Jiang Xi was very satisfied. Now, Hu Yan's was his. The 2 of them entered the dormant cabin of the flying boat first. The captured golden core cultivators were locked in individual dormant cabins and were in a comatose state. The dragon python and black tortoise were too big and were not here. Jiang Xi glanced around. There were a total of 8 people. 2 of them were middle-stage golden core, and the rest were early-stage golden core. According to their origins, there was 1 each from the Dark Shadow Kingdom, Peacock Kingdom, and Holy Union. The other 5 were golden core cultivators who had awakened from the hidden families of Xia Kingdom. The hidden families indeed had a deep foundation. Jiang Xi was expressionless. He was thinking about how to deal with these people. Kill them? Or how? Chapter 246. Sir, do you want to kill all 3 foreign cultivators? Hu Yan saw Jiang Xi's expressionless face and thought that Jiang Xi wanted to kill them. He had read the information on the Earth's satellite network before and knew the subtle relationship between the Great Xia Kingdom and other countries. No need. Take them to a nearby island. Jiang Xi shook his head and chuckled. After pondering for a while, he now somewhat understood why Xian Tian had let go of those foreign spirit cultivators in the Jade Pool secret realm. The reason he did this was to find a few opponents for the Great Xia Kingdom to have a sense of presence. It was because of the existence of these foreign cultivators that the warriors in the martial arts world of the Great Xia Kingdom would not slack off. Just like the relationship between monsters and humans on Earth, if it were not for monsters surrounding them, human warriors would not have improved so quickly. Crisis would make people burst out with a strong motivation. In just a moment, Jiang Xi found a beautiful small island. He threw the 8 golden core cultivators who were sleeping on the beach and asked Hu Yan to remove their sleeping restriction. Jiang Xi. When the people woke up and saw the scene in front of them and Jiang Xi's figure, their faces changed drastically. They subconsciously believed that the previous arrest was done by Jiang Xi's men. Because the strange man standing behind Jiang Xi was dressed very similar to the person who captured them. The strange man seemed to be very respectful to Jiang Xi. They wanted to ask Jiang Xi the reason for all this, but they were worried that it would make Jiang Xi unhappy. They were all uneasy. One of the middle-stage golden core cultivators from the reclusive Qin family, who was the Qin family's patriarch, finally mustered up the courage to ask, Jiang Xi, what do you want to do? Looking at the uneasy looks of these golden core cultivators, Jiang Xi felt that it was very funny. However, this was also a very good opportunity to remind everyone of this. Jiang Xi coughed and chuckled, it's nothing. I just want to conduct a drill for the invasion of foreign enemies. Unfortunately, your adaptability is too poor. Drill? Their expressions eased a lot. Old Ancestor Qin smiled bitterly, Jiang Xi, you didn't say anything and suddenly did such a thing. You really scared us. Alas, but this exercise is a good warning. We old guys have been living too comfortably. If we really encounter danger, we'll be in big trouble. The ancestor of the reclusive Shu Jia also sighed. The others also nodded in agreement. Only the 3 foreign golden core cultivators dared not speak with a gloomy face. They could not understand. Why would Jiang Xi be so kind? Would they come to warn the cultivators outside the Great Xia Kingdom? Of course, there were also people who were curious about the background of the person who had just captured them. Jiang Xi knew what these people were thinking. These 8 people were captured by Hu Yan's 2 companions. However, he did not intend to explain Hu Yan's origin, and it was not easy to explain. According to Jiang Xi's idea, it was enough to keep these people in a state of anxiety. This was because the unknown would give them a huge sense of danger, which would prompt them to improve. And he was standing behind this unknown, staring at these people. Only when everyone became stronger would Earth become stronger. As for the situation outside Earth, he did not intend to announce it for the time being. First, he was afraid of trouble. Second, he was worried that these people would cause trouble if they knew about the situation outside Earth. This would expose him a lot of things. Who knew if there were more powerful old guys in these reclusive families who were sleeping? Unlike Xian Tian and Li Baibai, both of them were ordinary people and did not have to worry about these messy things. That was why he used such a lame lie as a drill to deceive everyone. It turned out that the more powerful a person was, the more likely they were to be convinced by the lies they told. These 8 people believed Jiang Xi's words without a doubt. Well, this drill is over. Everyone, go back to your homes. Jiang Xi clapped his hands and made a gesture to call it a day. From the beginning to the end, Hu Yan had been standing behind Jiang Xi and did not say a word. The 8 people did not hesitate and quickly flew away from the island. Then, they were divided into 2 groups. The 5 golden core cultivators of the reclusive families stopped in a wilderness area by the coast. The youngest Qin, did you see the origin of the strange man beside Jiang Xi? The patriarch of the Shu Jia frowned and asked, No, that man has never appeared before. It was as if he appeared out of thin air. The man who caught me was the same. His cultivation was at the late stage of the golden core realm. He subdued me with just a few moves. He was terrifyingly strong. The patriarch of the Qin family shook his head. The one who caught you was a man. Then why was the one who caught me a woman? Were you also caught by a woman? Me too. The other three patriarchs of the reclusive families looked at each other and were stunned. Was Jiang Xi driving an unknown reclusive force? Otherwise, how could three powerful late-stage Golden Core realm cultivators appear at once? I've heard that some ancient orthodoxies on Earth are not extinct. They're just hidden in places that we don't know about. Could Jiang Xi be from there? The patriarch of the Shu Jia said with a horrified expression. It's very likely. Otherwise, how could Jiang Xi improve so quickly? Think about it, he's only been cultivating for a few years. Hiss. As soon as this speculation came out, everyone gasped in shock. They finally made a decision. When they returned, they would warn their juniors not to provoke Jiang Xi. Then, they would have to work hard to cultivate. Otherwise, if they were ambushed one day, they would really be gone. The three foreign cultivators flew to the other side of the ocean and gathered together. They had more guesses and worries than the patriarchs of the reclusive families. The three of them came from the Dark Shadow Kingdom, the Peacock Kingdom, and the Holy Alliance. They were the only pillars of their respective countries. Once they fell, the sky would really fall. The three of us must establish an offensive and defensive alliance. Set a national policy. At least for 100 years, don't provoke the Great Xia Kingdom, and don't provoke Jiang Xi. In a valley in the Yi Mountain Secret Realm. This valley was the place where the dragon python usually lived. At this time, a giant bird of the spirit gathering stage was anxiously guarding here. This was the child of the dragon python. During the beast tide in the Yi Mountain Secret Realm, it was taught a lesson by Jiang Xi. Roar! The giant bird saw two huge figures flying in from the outside. It was the dragon python and the black tortoise. Roar! It quickly went to greet them with a surprised roar. When the two Golden Core stage demons saw the giant bird, their mood was very complicated. Alas, Uncle Black, this is really embarrassing. The dragon python smiled bitterly. Don't say any more. Little dragon, cultivate well. Now you know that there's always someone better than you. The black tortoise sighed. Thinking of what Jiang Xi said to them on the island just now, the two demons were very shocked. The two demons had a plan in their hearts. They were now the only two Golden Core stage demons of the demon race on Earth. They had the responsibility to be the guardians of the demon race. Therefore, they were going to take the time to hold a gathering of demons and gather all the demons of the spirit gathering stage. Then, they would announce two things: don't provoke humans, and don't provoke Jiang Xi. As for those monsters below the spirit gathering stage, they were not demons and were not under their jurisdiction. Chapter 247. In the distant pale blue star region, in a flourishing galaxy. This was the headquarters of Qing Xian sect, one of the top 10 immortal sects in the Kanglan star region. Old ancestor Qing Xian was not in the Qing Xian sect. He had left the sect 1,000 years ago to explore the world. The current sect master, Qing Yi, was currently communicating with old ancestor Qing Xian through the communication pearl. Both of them were waiting for good news from the distant starry skies. With this opportunity, I will have a chance to reach the Dao integration stage. Even though old ancestor Qing Xian had experienced countless life and death battles and had a heart as firm as steel, he still couldn't hide his excitement. Although he was only at the late stage of the nascent soul stage, there was a record of him killing nascent soul stage cultivators 1,000 years ago. In fact, with his talent and strength, he could have cultivated the primordial spirit long ago. The reason why he had been suppressing his cultivation all this while was because he had not achieved a breakthrough yet. The reason was very simple. It was because he was cultivating a profound cultivation technique. If he could successfully cultivate this technique, he would have the combat power of a Dao integration stage cultivator when he attained the primordial spirit stage. However, having the combat power of a Dao integration stage cultivator and being a true Dao integration stage cultivator were two different things. Dao integration stage cultivators stood at the pinnacle of all cultivators and were powerful beings who could traverse the universe. Therefore, old ancestor Qing Xian's desire for earth was extremely strong. This is the opportunity for the Qing Xian sect to soar. Qing Yi, the head of the Qing Xian sect, was also filled with ambition. It was different from old ancestor Qing Xian's goal of seeking to reach the peak. Qing Yi really wanted to bring the Qing Xian sect to the same height as the Zhangyin sect, to be able to rule over a star region. However, there was still a question in his heart. The patriarch had never entered the depths of the chaotic star belt, so how did he know about the situation there? After thinking for a while, he asked this question. Qing Ye's sudden question did not make old ancestor Qing Xian unhappy. This was because Qing Yi was the most promising descendant of old ancestor Qing Xian. Old ancestor Qing Xian smiled and said, I guessed. I guessed. This answer was out of Qing Ye's expectations. Speaking of which, this matter is related to the Purple Heaven sect. Old ancestor Qing Xian continued to explain. The Violet Heaven sect of the Three Gates and Six Sects of the Tao Alliance. Even Qing Yi, who had lived for 1,000 years, exclaimed when he heard this. Each of the Tao Alliance's 9 stellar domains was governed by a supreme immortal Tao sect, the 3 schools and 6 sects. The Zixiao region they were in now belonged to the Zixiao sect. Old ancestor Qing Xian nodded with a smile. That's right. 10,000 years ago, Daoist Gu, the Tao integration expert of the Purple Heaven sect, and Yin Tiansheng, the Tao integration expert of the Ghost Clan, fought fiercely in the Purple Heaven region, destroying countless planets. In the end, the two of them mysteriously disappeared. No one knows where they went. Tao integration stage, Qing Ye's face was filled with shock. That earth-shattering battle had happened too long ago. Even he, a late nascent soul stage cultivator who had lived for thousands of years, had only heard very little information about it. Old ancestor Qing Xian continued, I once heard that in order to find Daoist Gu, the Purple Heaven sect went to visit an almighty who was good at divination and deduction. They obtained a clue that Daoist Gu and Yin Tiansheng would fall on a planet in the depths of the chaotic star belt. Then, the Purple Heaven sect sent out experts to search the entire chaotic star belt, but they found nothing. It wasn't until 6,000 years ago that the Purple Heaven sect announced that Daoist Ji's life tablet was broken that they stopped searching. This matter was also forgotten with the passage of time. Hearing this, Qing Yi asked, then why can old ancestor be sure that the planet that Hu Yan and the others found is the one that the Purple Heaven sect is looking for? It's very simple. Regardless of whether the Purple Heaven sect found that planet or not, it's in the depths of the chaotic star belt. It was located in the depths of the chaotic star belt, and it hid so many secrets. These 2 points are enough to conclude that it's the place where Daoist Gu and Yin Tiansheng died. Old ancestor Qing Xian's eyes were suffused with a bloody light. This kind of reasoning didn't need to be completely confirmed at all. It only needed a 50% or even 30% probability to give a definite answer. Moreover, even if the reasoning was wrong, the hidden value of that planet was immeasurable. Qing Yi let out a long breath. The shock in his heart couldn't be calmed down for a long time. If old ancestor Qing Xian didn't mention this secret, he wouldn't have known at all. Many things had been buried in the long river of time for tens of thousands of years. At this time, old ancestor Qing Xian smiled again and said, 2 hours have passed. With Hu Yan and the others' speed, the collection is almost finished. Contact them now. Qing Ye's eyes were filled with excitement as he used the communication bead to contact Hu Yan. No answer. He contacted again, but still no answer. Could it be that they were still collecting the original data of that planet? What's going on? Old ancestor Qing Xian frowned. No answer. Wait a little longer. After waiting for another hour, Qing Yi contacted again, but still no answer. 10 hours later, there was still no movement. Qing Ye's expression became more and more unsightly. Hu Yan had told him before that the highest combat power on that planet was only the late-stage gold core realm. With Hu Yan's mid-stage nascent soul realm combat power, it was enough to crush everything. It should have been settled long ago, right? Look at their life tablets. The bloody light in old ancestor Qing Xian's eyes pulsed faintly. Qing Yi nodded. That planet hid many secrets and definitely had many dangers. Perhaps Hu Yan and the others had encountered some danger. His spiritual sense immediately spread out and saw the life tablets of the 3 people at the place where the sex life tablets were stored. They were intact. That meant that Hu Yan and the others' lives were not in danger. Then what had happened? Hu Yan has always been dissatisfied with me. Could it be that he changed his mind at the last minute and didn't want to hand over that planet to the sect? Qing Ye's face sank. Then, he shook his head and denied this inference. If Hu Yan wanted to change his mind, he wouldn't have told them the detailed process of passing through the chaotic star belt. Wait a little longer. Old ancestor Qing Xian was expressionless. No one knew what he was thinking. The 2 of them waited for another day, but they still couldn't get in touch. In such a situation, there was no need to guess. They knew that something must have happened. Maybe Hu Yan changed his mind at the last minute, or maybe Hu Yan was in danger. Set off now and enter the core area of the chaotic star belt according to Hu Yan's path. See if you can follow the place where he passed through and enter. Old ancestor Qing Xian's voice was low. There was a bloody light in his eyes and a murderous aura. No matter which possibility it was, he was determined to get that planet. Qing Yi nodded. After ending the communication with old ancestor Qing Xian, he immediately rushed to the interstellar teleportation array in the sect. He wanted to teleport to the blue planet first, then use the flying ship to go to the chaotic star belt. Blue planet was the closest to the chaotic star belt. At the same time, in the Zixiao region, an uninhabited planet with a gravity that was 1,000 times stronger. Old ancestor Qing Xian, who lived in seclusion, had eyes that emitted a terrifying bloody light that shot straight into the sky. I must get such an opportunity. Unfortunately, the blood chi spirit fruit here is not ripe yet. I can't leave. Otherwise, I could personally go to the chaotic star belt. Chapter 248. The crisis of the interstellar hunters on Earth this time. It came abruptly and ended abruptly. From the beginning to the end of the crisis, it actually lasted less than 2 hours. Jiang Xi sent away those golden core cultivators and big demons, then took Hu Yan to Xiantian City. He saw the other 2 captured interstellar hunters, Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong. The 2 of them looked very miserable because they picked the wrong opponent to fight. Chu Zhe had just comprehended a Tao true meaning. But his opponent, Xiantian, had already comprehended a Tao true meaning a long time ago, and it was the top Tao true meaning. Therefore, he was directly beaten up by Xiantian and became a whetstone. Qiu Hong's experience was similar. A dignified late-stage golden core cultivator couldn't withstand Li Baibai's fast sword at all. Under Li Baibai's 8-element swordsmanship, hundreds of bloody holes appeared on this interstellar hunter's body in an instant, and he was almost stabbed to death. Jiang Xi looked at the miserable state of the 2 and couldn't bear it, so he put the same spiritual sense restriction on them. So, there were 2 more people who called him Lord. Xiantian and Li Baibai were already used to Jiang Xi's occasional mysterious actions. They didn't ask much, because they knew that it was most likely from the Jade Lake secret realm again. However, they still had to be shocked. Jiang Xi, this kid, got 3 late-stage golden core subordinates without saying a word, which made them very envious. Then, Jiang Xi, Xiantian, and Li Baibai made some arrangements for the possible follow-up effects of the interstellar hunters' invasion. For example, Jiang Xi asked the 2 of them not to disclose the previous battle with the interstellar hunters. In this way, the captured golden core cultivators wouldn't be suspicious of the maneuver, so they could continue to maintain a sense of mystery. Before the 3 of them finished discussing, at this moment, Hu Yan's expression changed. He took out a communication bead, and the transmission mark on it was slightly glowing. Lord, a message from my sect. Don't answer it. Jiang Xi's expression became serious. Jiang Xi, what's going on? Xian Tian and Li Baibai looked at Jiang Xi in confusion. I was just about to tell you about this. Jiang Xi's expression was solemn as he explained the reason. Hu Yan told his sect, Qing Xian sect, about the existence of Earth and how he came to Earth. Xian Tian and Li Baibai's expressions changed. They immediately realized the severity of the situation. They had already learned from Jiang Xi that Hu Yan had the battle prowess of a middle-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. Then how powerful was Hu Yan's sect? I'm very sorry. I'm sorry for the trouble I've caused everyone. Hu Yan said sincerely in stiff Great Xia language. I can't blame you for this. After all, you were our enemy before. Jiang Xi shook his head. Then, Jiang Xi said to the Xian Tian duo, the Qing Xian sect is well aware of the value of Earth. After losing contact with Hu Yan, they will definitely send people to continue the search. Therefore, Earth's crisis is not over yet. Xian Tian frowned. How powerful is the Qing Xian sect? Very powerful. The founder of the Qing Xian sect, old ancestor Qing Xian, although his cultivation is only at the late-stage nascent soul realm, he has the record of killing nascent soul realm cultivators. The current sect leader is at the late-stage nascent soul realm. There is also a middle-stage nascent soul realm cultivator and 3 early-stage nascent soul realm cultivators. Jiang Xi smiled bitterly. Xian Tian and Li Baibai's breathing stagnated. Killing nascent soul realm cultivators. They could probably kill them with just a breath, right? Jiang Xi looked at the two and said, there are 2 pieces of good news. First, according to Hu Yan, old ancestor Qing Xian left the Qing Xian sect 1,000 years ago and his whereabouts are unknown. He didn't even appear when the Qing Xian sect was facing a crisis. Therefore, he probably won't come this time. The person who will come is most likely one or more of the nascent soul realm cultivators of the Qing Xian sect. Second, it will take about 3 years to get here from the galaxy where Hu Yan's sect is located. In other words, we still have a chance. Xian Tian and Li Baibai looked at each other. There was bitterness in their eyes. Nascent soul realm, the 2 of them took a deep breath. This was not good news. They didn't give up. Even if it was a 1 in a million chance, it was still a chance. In the end, it all came back to strength. As long as they were strong enough, even if the enemy came, there was no need to be afraid. Big brother, sister Baibai, I've thought about it. I'm going to leave Earth in a few days and go to the starry sky to improve. Do you want to come with me? Jiang Xi took a deep breath and told them his plan. Definitely. The current environment on Earth is very difficult for us to train. Only by going through stronger battles can we have a chance to improve quickly. Xian Tian agreed. Li Baibai also agreed, walking on the edge of life and death and experiencing the horror of life and death, we have a chance to get stronger. Alright, wait for my notice. Jiang Xi said finally. Next, the 3 of them discussed some other arrangements. After confirming that there was no problem for the time being, Jiang Xi left with Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong. Pak Sun Province, Tongtian District. At this time, the entire district was still in the cold winter season. Snowflakes floated in the sky and frost covered the ground. Outside Tongtian District, everything was normal. The autumn air was refreshing and the weather was pleasant. Such a spectacle attracted the attention of many people. At the same time, the higher-ups were still worried about Jiang Xi's situation. They were afraid that Jiang Xi would encounter an accident. The person who could create such a strange phenomenon must be very powerful. After a while, everyone was surprised to find that the strange phenomenon suddenly disappeared. The frost on the ground and the snowflakes in the sky disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. This is a drill. Everyone, disperse. Jiang Xi's voice echoed in the Zhenten Butakan district of Pak Sun province. Drill? Everyone was stunned. Those who were worried about Jiang Xi felt relieved. Villa 92. Jiang Dudu stood on the balcony and looked at the sky. Although Jiang Xi had already contacted her and confirmed his safety, she could not be at ease without seeing Jiang Xi with her own eyes. After hearing Jiang Xi's voice, a smile finally appeared on her face. The next moment, Jiang Xi's figure appeared in front of her, and at the same time, there were 3 other strange people wearing spiritual battle suits. Brother, are these the 3 pets you were talking about? Jiang Dudu's eyes sparkled. Seeing Hu Yan and the others, she remembered her dream of catching ghosts as pets, which had yet to be realized. Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, Qiu Hong, the existence of the spiritual sense restriction made them acknowledge Jiang Xi from the bottom of their hearts. Naturally, they also had a good impression of Jiang Dudu. However, Jiang Dudu's first sentence made them suffer 10,000 points of damage. Cough. What nonsense are you talking about? In the future, they will be our family's guards and nannies. Jiang Xi scratched the little girl's nose. Although the little girl was not young anymore, she would be an adult in 2 months. However, the 2 of them did not feel uncomfortable with this kind of intimate action. They felt that it was normal. Nothing needed to be said. It was fine as long as they accompanied each other. Chapter 249. The 3 of you will stay in the villa next door. If there's anything, I'll inform you, Jiang Xi said to Hu Yan. Thank you, sir. Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong respectfully bowed and left. They were very grateful to Jiang Xi for his actions and arrangements. Although Jiang Xi had placed a spiritual consciousness restriction on them, he did not treat them as slaves. Jiang Xi smiled. He had sent a message to Lu Shan to vacate the villa next door when he was on his way back. Villa 92 was his and Jiang Dudu's home. If Hu Yan and the rest were to move in, Jiang Dudu would definitely not agree to it, let alone him. Brother, is there anything else you're worried about? Jiang Dudu asked. She and Jiang Xi depended on each other for survival. She was very familiar with Jiang Xi's little movements and micro-expressions. She found that although Jiang Xi was smiling, there was a hidden worry in the depths of his expression. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. He did not hide anything and told Jiang Dudu about the Qing Xian sect. Finally, he said, if the Qing Xian sect really wants to come, then we only have 3 years, so I understand. Big bro, don't worry and go ahead. Don't worry about me. Jiang Dudu laughed. The 2 of them had a tacit understanding. Before Jiang Xi could finish his words, she already knew what Jiang Xi was planning to do. As she grew up, her initial willfulness had long disappeared. She had become a considerate little girl. In the face of such a crisis, of course, she would not pester Jiang Xi and ask Jiang Xi to take her on a trip to the starry sky. Jiang Dudu's growth and understanding made Jiang Xi happy. In the next few days, he sent Hu Yan and Chu Zhe out to collect the original data of the Earth with the astrolabe. The purpose of this was very simple. He wanted to apply to become the Lord of the Earth. Regardless of the crisis brought by the Qing Xian sect, he had to apply. This was because the Tao Alliance had a rule: private territory was sacred and inviolable. Once his application was successful, the Tao Alliance's heaven span eye would leave a mark on Earth and the star system it was located in. If someone trespassed on Earth without the permission of the Lord of the planet, he would be punished. He could then report this matter to the Alliance at that time. The enforcers of the Tao Alliance would hunt down and punish the trespassers according to the rules. Of course, Jiang Xi knew very well that this was just a means of deterrence. Those who had the guts to barge in would still make a move. Lawbreakers who took risks for their own benefits would never disappear in any era or place. As for whether or not Earth's existence would be exposed to the Tao Alliance, Jiang Xi had already made ample preparations. He would not record the secret data about the recovery of spiritual energy and the Grotto Heaven's secret realms in the astrolabe. The raw data of a planet included the situation of its galaxy, the planet's society, civilization, geography, and other data. The other secrets weren't the focus of the Tao Alliance's investigation. He had already learned from Hu Yen that the Tao Alliance wouldn't send anyone to verify his application to become the ruler of a wild planet. This was because the Tao Alliance's Eye of Heavens covered the entire universe. The Eye of Heavens would be able to determine the location of the planet and imprint it. Jiang Xi expressed his understanding of this point. The Tao Alliance's approach was to encourage exploration. It was somewhat similar to the old era of the Western Great Voyages. The countries of the Western world encouraged navigators to explore new lands. As long as they admitted that this thing was under the jurisdiction of the Tao Alliance, they could do whatever they wanted. While Hu Yen and Chu Zhe were collecting data, Jiang Xi wasn't idle either. He used all his energy to obtain experience points. This was because there wouldn't be such a good opportunity to obtain experience points once they reached the starry sky. It was better to prepare more experience points first. Thus, the monsters suffered. Jiang Xi killed all the monsters in the wilderness around the 7 prefectures of the Great Xia Empire. Although his hunting efficiency wasn't as high as during the Beast Tide, he was now stronger. With the Gale Domain, his hunting speed was quite impressive. For a time, the beasts were terrified, however, Jiang Xi didn't do such a thing. His hunting only reduced the density of monsters in the wilderness. There were still a lot of monsters. The warriors of the Great Xia Empire's martial arts world still had the opportunity to train in the wilderness. After hunting for 10 whole days, the experience points on the interface finally reached a new high. Experience points, 122 million, over 100 million. 100 million experience points should be enough for me to go all out, right? With this thought in mind, Riverward ended the hunt. The terrified monsters finally got rid of the fear of dying at any time. New Moon Year 96, September 27th. Xian Tian and Li Baibai announced to the public that they were going to cultivate in seclusion. In reality, they arrived at Jiang Xi's house without alerting anyone. Tongtian District, Villa 92, Underground Training Room. Xian Tian and Li Baibai stood around the teleportation array and observed it for a long time. This is the teleportation array. It looks so exquisite. Xian Tian praised. Big brother, if you want to learn, I can compile a summary for you, Jiang Xi said with a smile. Forget it. It's more comfortable to fight and kill. This kind of research is not suitable for me. Xian Tian rejected decisively. Biting off more than he could chew was bad. He was very clear about what he needed. Hu Yen and the other two by the side had faces full of envy. The Tao of Formations was a rare inheritance even in the Tao Alliance's 9 major galaxies. After a while, it was time to set off. This time, apart from Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yen were leaving Earth for the starry sky. As for Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong, Jiang Xi had other arrangements. He sternly reminded the two of them, Chu Zhe, Qiu Hong, don't make any mistakes in the mission I gave you. Yes, sir. The two of them answered solemnly. Chu Zhe's mission was to guard Xiantian City for Xiantian, while Qiu Hong's mission was to protect Jiangdudu and Pak Sun Province at the same time. Of course, if the Xia Kingdom encountered any danger during this period, the two of them would also have to help. Generally speaking, after Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai left, Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong would take over Jiang Xi's original responsibilities. Although no one on Earth had the guts to offend the three of them, it was always better to be safe than sorry. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. The necessary precautions still had to be taken. Jiang Xi did not trust those people from the hidden families. They could only leave with peace of mind after making these arrangements. Big brother, be good and come back alive. Jiangdudu's gaze was fixed on Jiang Xi, firm and affectionate. This was because Jiang Xi's purpose in entering the starry sky was different from the last time. Last time, he was only there to explore and check out the situation. He would not encounter any danger. But this time, Jiang Xi was going to train and would definitely fight with people. Don't worry, I promise to come back in one piece. Jiang Xi rubbed the little girl's head, then smiled and said, you also cultivate well. Don't wait for me to come back and find that your cultivation hasn't changed. Okay. Jiang Dudu nodded vigorously. Then, Jiang Xi teleported Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan to the Guanghan Palace on the first moon. As for himself, he disappeared in the light of the teleportation array under Jiang Dudu's gaze. Chapter 250. On the first moon, in the dilapidated Guanghan Palace. Other than Jiang Xi, who was calm, Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan were all shocked. Xian Tian and Li Baibai were shocked that the projection of the Moon Palace during the third and fourth spiritual qi revival was real. Jiang Xi did not reveal this to them in advance. Hu Yan was shocked that he had just found out that there was an interstellar teleportation array on this moon. He thought that Jiang Xi had brought him into the galaxy so that he could pilot the flying ship and travel through the galaxy. Jiang Xi, do you have a way to get to the second moon? Xian Tian looked at the second moon. Unfortunately, he could not see the brand new Guanghan Palace. The second moon can be seen but not touched. How can I do that? Jiang Xi shook his head and smiled. Xian Tian sighed. 100 years ago, when the second moon appeared in outer space, the spiritual qi revival began. Since then, people were more curious about the second moon than the first moon. The second moon seems to be in another time and space. The Daxia kingdom tried to use a spacecraft but it went straight through the galaxy. Li Baibai sighed. With our current strength, we can't explore this secret. Maybe when our cultivation is higher in the future, we will know the answer. Jiang Xi chuckled. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. Xian Tian urged. He could not wait to go to the galaxy and see the scenery of other planets. On the distant planet Sanglan, in the Linhai City Teleportation Hall. The captain of the guards, Gong Shi, had just entered a state of cultivation for 2 months when he was woken up by his subordinates. After learning the reason, the anger in his heart instantly dissipated. The interstellar teleportation array lit up again, and it was an interstellar teleportation with unknown coordinates. Gong Shi did not dare to be negligent. He could not afford to offend anyone who could perform such an interstellar teleportation. When the interstellar teleportation array's light disappeared, 4 figures appeared. Gong Shi, together with all the guards, hurriedly bowed respectfully. Third Guard Captain Gong Shi of the Linhai City Teleportation Hall on planet Sanglan welcomes. Sir Jiang Xi. Gong Shi was stunned for a moment. He saw Jiang Xi among the 4 people. Just like last time, make a new identity jade tablet for the 2 of them. Jiang Xi didn't stand on ceremony. He maintained his cold attitude from last time and asked Gong Shi to register Xian Tian and Li Baibai. As for Hu Yan, after being a starry sky wanderer for so long, he naturally had many identities. There was no need for him to get a new one. After a short moment, Jiang Xi's group of 4 left the teleportation hall under Gong Shi's respectful escort. Looking at their backs, Gong Shi shook his head and sighed. A good family background was better than anything else. The interstellar teleportation of 4 people would cost 40,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. He had to work hard to guard the teleportation hall for 40 years to earn that much. It really couldn't be compared. After leaving the teleportation hall, Jiang Xi first brought Xian Tian and the others to the Grey Cloud Star Trade Center to find Steward Zhua to sell some wonder stones. Because they needed money to do things. Then, it was Hu Yan's turn to lead the way to the Dao Alliance building on the Blue Planet. Hu Yan was very familiar with the situation on the Blue Planet. After all, the The Qing Xian sect was one of the top 10 sects in the Blue Planet. He had been here many times. Along the way, Xian Tian and Li Baibai looked at the scenery on the Blue Planet in amazement. It was indeed very different from Earth. On the other hand, Jiang Xi was thinking about what to do next, which was to apply to become the Lord of Earth. When the application is successful, it doesn't matter if the people from the Qing Xian sect come or not. When Earth and the solar system have the mark of the Tao Alliance's Eye of Heaven, it will serve as a deterrent if any starry sky wanderers accidentally enter. As there was a no-fly law in the cities on the Blue Planet, the four of them still took a long time to arrive at the Tao Alliance building. From afar, they saw a majestic classical building that seemed to reach the clouds. When they got closer, they could feel a faint pressure that made them feel awe. It was also Jiang Xi's first time here. When he saw this majestic building, he immediately thought of the Tongtian Mountain, the Tongtian Tower, and the Fengdu Mountain. The pressure from the Tao Alliance building was very similar to these three, but it was much smaller. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai looked at each other. There was shock in their eyes as they thought of the same thing. What was the connection between the Tao Alliance building, the Tongtian Mountain, the Tongtian Tower, and the Fengdu Mountain? At this moment, there were many cultivators coming and going in front of the building. However, the shock of the three did not arouse any suspicion. This was because everyone's reaction when they saw the Tao Alliance building for the first time was similar to theirs. Jiang Xi recalled the information about the Tao Alliance and the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court in Taoist GE's inherited memories. By analogy, the Tao Alliance occupied 9 major galaxies in the universe. It was equivalent to a national organization. The Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance was formed with the 3 sects and 6 sects, each of which controlled a planetary region as its core, and many other inferior immortal Tao sects as its support. It was the highest authority of the Tao Alliance that controlled the 9 major planetary regions of the human race. The Tao Alliance Heavenly Court's influence spread throughout all of the planets that were rank 3 and above. All of the planets that were rank 3 and above that were not privately owned would have a Tao Alliance building. It would serve as the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court's headquarters. This was somewhat similar to the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court's office. Many matters related to cultivators had to be handled here. For example, the establishment and cancellation of immortal Tao sects, the application for or transfer of a planet's overlord status, the training and advancement of starry sky hunters, and many other matters. At this moment, many cultivators were entering and exiting the building. They were all here for business. Jiang Xi suppressed the shock in his heart. He calmed himself down, then walked into the Tao Alliance building with Xian Tian and the other 2. After entering, they went straight to the place where the application for or transfer of a planet's overlord status was handled. This place was rather quiet. Or rather, there was no one there at all. Not only was it quiet, but the staff member of the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court was also a very ordinary-looking middle-aged Taoist. However, his cultivation was not ordinary at all. Jiang Xi couldn't help but sigh at how powerful the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court was. Just a staff member of this office was at the early nascent soul stage. The middle-aged Taoist didn't underestimate Jiang Xi just because he was at the late Jindan stage. This was because the business he was in charge of was related to the development and transfer of life planets. Generally, it would involve a large sum of money. There was a fee for this kind of business. The greater the sum of money, the greater the fee. Even in the universe, the rich were the lords of the universe. For example, a rank 1 planet was worth at least 1 million low-grade spirit crystals. If a cultivator wanted to apply to become the overlord of a rank 1 planet, they would first have to pay 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals as a processing fee. A processing fee of 1%. Jiang Xi was naturally aware of this, and he had mentally prepared himself for this long ago. According to the data he had gathered on Earth, Earth was a rank 3 planet. Its value started from 100 million low-grade spirit crystals. A processing fee of 1% was 1 million. Chapter 251. A 1 million processing fee. Therefore, when Jiang Xi left the teleportation hall, he immediately went to the Green Cloud Star Market and exchanged 1 million spiritual crystals with the magical stones. In addition, he still had 400,000 spiritual crystals in the Taoist Alliance's crystal bank. 1,400,000 low-grade spiritual crystals should be enough even if there was an accident. If there was no other way, he could go back and exchange for more. After all, he, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai all had a lot of magical stones in their storage rings. Senior, I want to apply to become the lord of this planet. This is the original data. Jiang Xi handed the astrolabe to the middle-aged Taoist. When he spoke, he used the most authentic common language of the Taoist Alliance. The smile on the middle-aged Taoist's face widened. He judged that Jiang Xi must be from an extraordinary family. He took the astrolabe with a smile and said, "Please wait for a moment." Then, he placed the astrolabe on a stone pillar carved with runes. At the top of the stone pillar, there was a closed eye. The eye suddenly opened, as if it could see through everything. It shot out a ray of light and covered the astrolabe. The Eye of Heaven. Jiang Xi was shocked. Then, he realized that this was the clone of the Eye of Heaven. After a while, the middle-aged Taoist took the astrolabe. He looked confused and surprised. He asked hesitantly, "Are you sure you want to become the lord of this planet?" "Yes, is there a problem?" Jiang Xi nodded. "No, the Eye of Heaven has judged that this planet is indeed an uninhabited planet. However, if you want to apply to become the lord of this planet, you need to pay a fee of 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals first. Then, your cultivation must be at least in the nascent soul stage." The middle-aged Taoist's words were shocking. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan were all stunned. 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals. And his cultivation must be at least in the nascent soul stage. Wasn't this the standard for a level 5 uninhabited planet? For a level 3 uninhabited planet like Earth, if one wanted to apply to become the lord of this planet, one's cultivation must be at least in the golden core stage. "Senior, is there a mistake?" Jiang Xi quickly asked. "Under the inspection of the Eye of Heaven, there is no way it could be wrong." The middle-aged Taoist said with a resolute expression, giving a definite answer. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai looked at each other. Could it be that the Heavenly Eye had discovered something? Did he know the difference between Earth and Earth? Didn't they say that the Alliance didn't care about these things? At this moment, the middle-aged Taoist's expression changed slightly. A trace of shock flashed in his eyes before he regained his composure. No one noticed his unusual behavior. He said to Jiang Xi, "You have two choices now. You can apply for it when your cultivation level is high enough. Or, you can give up on becoming the overlord of this planet and hand it over to the Tao Alliance. That way, you will receive 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals and a top-notch cultivation technique from the Tao Alliance." Jiang Xi's breathing stagnated. He had a bad feeling. Was he being targeted? "Senior, what is the meaning of this?" He maintained his calm and asked in a low voice. The middle-aged Taoist laughed. "Don't worry. I'm strictly adhering to the rules of the Tao Alliance and giving you the choice. According to the rules of the Tao Alliance, if a cultivator discovers a new planet with life, he or she can choose to pay a price. You can choose to pay a certain price and apply to become the ruler of a planet, or you can choose to submit it to the Tao Alliance and receive a certain reward." Jiang Xi's expression was calm. He shook his head. "Thank you, Senior. I'll come again next time." What the middle-aged Taoist said was true. He must have been overthinking things just now. The Tao Alliance occupied 9 major star zones. There was no need for them to set their eyes on a small planet like Earth. Jiang Xi didn't stay any longer. He left the Tao Alliance building with the equally shocked Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan. The four of them found a secluded place to rest in Waterfront City. Jiang Xi, did they discover something? Xian Tian and Li Baibai asked the same question. They were also worried. If Earth was targeted by a colossus like the Tao Alliance, it wouldn't be able to resist at all. The omniscient I must have discovered something, but it's not that serious. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given me two choices. Jiang Xi nodded with a smile. He then explained the comparison between the Tao Alliance and Earth. Xian Tian and Li Baibai were both intelligent people. They also understood. Yes, the Tao Alliance was extremely powerful. How big was Earth? It was like the richest man on Earth. Would he be greedy for a small village in a remote area? So, don't worry. I'll apply again when I reach the nascent soul stage, Jiang Xi said with a smile. Hey, don't be so confident. Maybe I'll reach the nascent soul stage first. Xian Tian joked. Are you two looking down on me? Li Baibai also said. Ha, the three of them felt relieved. Although there were some problems with the application to become the Earth's Lord, it was still acceptable. 100 million low-grade spirit crystals and nascent soul cultivation. Money was easy to solve. When they left Earth, they brought more than half of the wondrous stones with them. It wouldn't be a problem to gather 100 million low-grade spirit crystals. The main problem was cultivation. It wasn't easy to reach the nascent soul stage. Especially Xian Tian and Li Baibai. They had reached the golden core stage less than a year ago. They wouldn't be able to reach the nascent soul stage in the near future. Only Jiang Xi was the most confident. His golden core would only need 10 years to reach the nascent soul stage under the nourishment of yin and yang. However, in Jiang Xi's opinion, 10 years was still too slow. He looked at the experience panel, cultivation, golden core, late stage 397500397500, Tao technique, Gale domain, 700,000/5,000,000, sword intent, 1,000,000/1,000,000, amplitude, 22. 6 deduction, 10,000 experience points. Once martial arts, Purple Cloud Sword Manual, Peacock Visualization Experience Points, 10,000/22,000,000. In terms of cultivation, although he was only at the late stage of the Golden Core stage, the newly comprehended Gale domain and the perfected sword intent gave him a spiritual power amplitude of 22.6 times. In other words, in terms of spiritual power, the power of his attack would exceed the full power attack of 22 cultivators at the late stage of the Golden Core stage. If he added the Gale domain and the sword intent to his strength, his actual combat power would exceed the late stage of the nascent soul stage. Of course, if he encountered a real late stage of the nascent soul stage, he might have to think twice. Compared to the sect leader of the Qing Xian sect, who was invincible in the nascent soul stage, they were on two different levels. Invincible in the nascent soul stage meant that the nascent soul cultivation was perfected and he had at least comprehended a complete Tao domain. Jiang Xi knew very well that he was still far from it. If the sect leader of the Qing Xian sect had already set off, he would only need 3 years to reach Earth. I have to complete the Golden Core stage and become a nascent soul cultivator within 3 years. By then, my Gale domain will definitely be perfected. With the sword intent, I will have a chance to compete with him. If I am lucky, I can deduce the sword domain within 3 years. Then, I will have a greater chance. But the prerequisite for all of this is to reach the nascent soul stage. Cultivation was the foundation of strength. No matter how high the spiritual power amplitude brought by the Tao technique was, if the foundation was not good, then the final combat power would not be very high. The spiritual power of a late stage of the Golden Core stage and a late stage of the nascent soul stage could not be compared at all. Moreover, why couldn't a late stage of the nascent soul stage comprehend the Tao technique? Chapter 252. Nascent Soul Stage. It seems that I can only look for Yang Qi. Well, I can also fulfill one of Master's requests. Jiang Xi decided on a new plan. When he was forming his gold core, he used Yang Qi to speed up the 100 refinement method. If he had Yang Qi to assist the Yin and Yang cultivation method, it would coincide with Yin and Yang, and the completion of the cultivation could be accelerated. Master left me 2 requests. One of them is to visit the descendants of his friend after I step into the starry sky. In Jiang Xi's mind, this was something he had to do, not only because he had made a Dao oath. More importantly, Daoist Ji's friend had saved Daoist Ji's life with his own. And as Daoist Ji's only disciple, he had the responsibility and obligation to visit the descendants of his master's friend. This time, when he left Earth, Jiang Xi had this plan. He didn't want his master to die in peace. 10,000 years have passed. I don't know if the bloodline of master's friend has been passed down, but no matter what, I have to go. Murong Planet, Jiang Xi let out a long breath. He was going to Murong Planet, which was registered in his identity information. Because the bloodline of his master's friend was on that planet, and it happened to have the Yang Qi he needed at the moment. After sorting out the next step of the plan, Jiang Xi said, "Big brother, sister bye-bye, I'm going to another planet to do something. It may take some time. Are you waiting for me on Blue Planet, or do you have other plans?" Because he wasn't sure if he could find the descendants of his master's friend, it would definitely take some time. Will there be a fight? Xian Tian was concerned about this. I'm going to look for someone, a peaceful journey. Jiang Xi smiled. Xian Tian and Li Baibai looked at each other, and then Xian Tian smiled and said, "Then we won't go together. Baibai and I plan to apply to become Starry Sky Hunters. We will explore the Blue Planet and improve our strength through combat experience." "Okay, I'll let Hu Yan go with you. We can take care of each other." Jiang Xi nodded. Although Hu Yan was at the late-stage Aurus Core stage, relying on the 40% comprehension of the Frost domain, his actual combat strength had reached the middle stage nascent soul stage. With Hu Yan following Xian Tian and Li Baibai, Jiang Xi felt a lot more at ease. Xian Tian and Li Baibai were also aware of this, so they didn't refuse. They knew of Jiang Xi's strength. Whether or not Hu Yan was there, it did not matter to Jiang Xi. Everyone went their separate ways. Jiang Xi went to Murong Planet alone. The other 3 returned to the Dao Alliance building and applied to become Starry Sky Hunters. Of course, it didn't mean that one would definitely become a Starry Sky Hunter after applying. One still had to go through the assessment and experience. The trial would be accompanied by battles and killings. It was very dangerous. This was another reason why Jiang Xi left Hu Yan behind. Earth, the Xia Kingdom, Pak Sun Province, Tongtian District, Villa number 92. Jiang Xi had been gone for half a month. Ever since Jiang Xi was trapped in the Jade Lake Mystic Realm for a year and came back, he hadn't left home for more than a day. This time, Jiang Xi had left home, and no one knew when he would be back. Therefore, Jiang Daodu was also trying her best to adapt to the days when Jiang Xi wasn't around. She allowed herself to devote all her attention to cultivation. Seeing that Jiang Xi's cultivation was getting stronger and stronger, she didn't want to be left behind too much. She also didn't want to follow Jiang Xi forever. She wanted to walk side by side with Jiang Xi. Just like this time, if she also had the cultivation of the Golden Core stage, she could go to the Starry Sky with Jiang Xi to train. She wouldn't be like now, alone in an empty house. After Jiang Xi left, Jiang Daodu moved her cultivation location from the villa's balcony to the underground cultivation room. Late at night, the 2 moons hung in the sky. Jiang Daodu sat cross-legged at the place where Jiang Xi usually sat. She gradually entered a state of emptiness and entered a state of cultivation. After an unknown amount of time, it seemed to be midnight. An extremely faint light lit up between her eyebrows. It was almost imperceptible. This light flickered and completely drilled into her mind. He 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 he, there seemed to be a sinister laughter echoing in the underground cultivation room. At the same time, there was a ghastly and dense pure ghost aura that completely covered Jiang Daodu. Jiang Daodu didn't react to all of this, as if she had been cast a spell. That old guy's successor hasn't returned for half a month. Finally, I can use the method of possession. This little girl is born with an extremely Yin body. It's the perfect body that I, Yin, was born with. Yin's natural remnant spirit was preparing to use the method of possession in Jiang Daodu's mind. She followed Jiang Xi out of the first moon and possessed Jiang Daodu's body. Other than absorbing some of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth during the fourth recovery of spiritual energy, she didn't do anything else. Although Jiang Daodu's physique was an extremely rare and powerful physique even in the Ghost Clan's galaxy, she still resisted the urge to possess her. Because Jiang Xi had obtained Daoist Ji's inheritance, she was worried that Jiang Xi would have a backup plan left behind by Daoist Gu. And Jiang Xi never left Jiang Daodu for more than a day, so she hadn't found a suitable opportunity. This time, it was finally time. Jiang Xi had been away for half a month, and she was sure that he wouldn't be back anytime soon. Possession. Yin Tianqing's remnant spirit roared excitedly. The ghastly ghost aura that covered Jiang Daodu's body shook and began to seep into Jiang Daodu's body. Suddenly, the ghastly ghost aura calmed down and then trembled violently as if it had been frightened. Ah! What is this? Great horror, there's great horror in her body. Spare me. Spare my life. Spare, Yin Tianqing desperately begged for mercy. The ghastly ghost aura was completely devoured by Jiang Daodu's body in an instant. Finally, everything calmed down. In the underground practice room, nothing seemed to have happened. The next morning, Jiang Daodu yawned and stretched, then her movements froze. Oh, I actually fell asleep. It's over, I wasted a night. Golden. Golden. Golden core. The situation in her dantian made Jiang Daodu completely stunned. Overnight, she went from the early stage of spirit vessel to the early stage of golden core. What happened? Could it be that the spirit aura had recovered again? She hurriedly opened the computer network in the practice room and searched, but didn't find any real-time news about the recovery of spirit aura. What the hell? Jiang Daodu muttered. Sigh. At this time, a hoarse voice sounded with helplessness. She thought she had been discovered. Who is it? Come out. Jiang Daodu's gaze focused and she shouted coldly. Whoosh. At the same time, a dark blue dagger with a cold light appeared in her hand. She was ready to attack at any time. The next moment, a gray figure flew out from Jiang Daodu's body. Yin Tianqing greets master. It was a skinny old woman with sparse hair, and her figure was only the size of a thumb. Who are you? Don't try to get close to me. Jiang Daodu's face was taut as she maintained her vigilance. Chapter 253. I, Yin Tianqing, was a path integration stage expert of the Ghost Clan when I was alive. Because I failed to possess Master, my remnant spirit was restrained by Master. If Master doesn't believe me, you can feel it with your mind and you will know. Yin Tianqing, who looked like an old woman, respectfully explained the reason. Her words were half true and half false. Because she had been warned by that great terror, she did not dare to reveal the truth to Jiang Dudu. Jiang Dudu's expression changed. She had learned a lot of cultivation knowledge from Jiang Xi, so she naturally knew what the path integration stage was and what possession was. With a thought, she immediately felt that she could control the life and death of this old woman. Thus, Jiang Daodu slightly relaxed her 100% vigilance by a bit. So, you are a ghost? I am a remnant spirit of the Ghost Clan, so I can be counted as a ghost. So you are my pet now? Master, you can think of it that way. Yin Tianqing did not reject the word pet because Jiang Dudu was a great terror. Even if she was treated as a pet, she could only accept it. Ha! I, Jiang Dudu, finally have a ghost pet. With her wish fulfilled, Jiang Dudu was as happy as a 3-year-old child and cheered for a while. However, the cold dagger in her hand was still pointed at Yin Tiansheng. Yin Tiansheng, well, one is not enough. My brother has 3 human pets. No matter what, I have to get 3 ghost pets. Jiang Dudu said to herself again. Yin Tiansheng, by the way, don't call me master. It is too unpleasant. Call me Sister Daodu in the future. Jiang Dudu looked at Yin Tiansheng, who was the size of a thumb. Okay, Sister Daodu. Yin Tiansheng's tone was full of helplessness. What kind of sin did she commit? Of course, Jiang Xi did not know what had happened on Earth. He had already arrived at Murong planet in the Minglan star region through the interstellar teleportation array. The Zixiao domain was extremely vast and had many star regions, countless galaxies, and countless planets with life. The Minglan star region was located at the edge of the Zixiao domain and was a relatively remote star region. The prosperity of the planets here naturally could not be compared with that of the blue star region. As for Murong planet, only after arriving here did Jiang Xi realize what a remote place was. In other words, it couldn't be called remote, but closed off. It actually feels like I have traveled to the ancient times of the Great Xia Kingdom. Jiang Xi was wearing an ancient costume as he sat in an ancient restaurant, drinking strong liquor with a unique flavor. He was currently in Qianyang City, the capital of Murong planet. On the other hand, China was a secular country. The society, folklore, and architecture here were very similar to the pre-Qin era of the Xia Kingdom on Earth. It was hard to imagine that this was a 4th-grade planet under the control of the Tao Alliance. In addition, the exchange of information here was extremely underdeveloped. Ordinary people did not know about the existence of cultivators at all. At most, they only knew about some myths and legends. From this, it could be seen that the ruler of Murong planet had done a very good job in controlling the public opinion of the cultivation world. Furthermore, the control over foreign cultivators was also very strict. If one was not a native cultivator of Murong planet, it would be very difficult to enter this planet. One would need to go through a lot of checks. Luckily, I registered my identity as coming from Murong planet in the Minglan star region when I was on planet Kanglan previously. It just so happens that it came in handy this time. Jiang Xi shook his head. He raised the wine jar and drank half of it. This wine had no effect on him at all. Even if he drank a ton, he would not get drunk. He recalled the scene when he had just teleported here half a month ago. Good heavens, as soon as his figure appeared in the interstellar teleportation array, more than 10 golden core stage cultivators surrounded him. If it weren't for the fact that those people were wearing the same spirit artifact battle suits, Jiang Xi would have thought that he was being robbed. After some communication, he found out that it was an identity check. At that time, he adhered to his habit of remaining calm and did not let anyone notice anything unusual. He directly took out his identity jade token. He also casually threw more than 20,000 inferior-grade spirit crystals to those people as a reward. Only then did he avoid the most severe identity check. 10,000 years have passed. Things have indeed changed, and the world has changed. According to Master's inherited memory, when the Wen clan's ancestor, Wen Yan, built the Wen clan's ancestral land, Qianyang Cave, he had invited Master to help set up the seal array. The Wen clan's ancestral land is in Qianyang City, the capital of China. However, 10,000 years have passed, and the name of Qianyang City has not changed, but the Wen clan has disappeared without a trace. The Wen clan's ancestor, Wen Yan, was Daoist Ji's friend. For half a month, he had been secretly looking for traces of the Wen clan, but to no avail. Now, let's focus on Qianyang Cave. The reason why Jiang Xi knew that Murong planet had young dark energy was very simple. It was because when Daoist Gu set up the seal array for Qianyang Cave, he had sealed a lot of young dark energy inside. As long as he could enter Qianyang Cave, he would have a chance to obtain the young dark energy. In fact, when Jiang Xi first arrived at Qianyang City, he had already discovered the location of Qianyang Cave. The entrance to Qianyang Cave was outside Qianyang City, in a lake called Blue Smoke Lake. There was no way not to discover it because another unexpected situation had occurred. The external seal array that Taoist Gu set up for Qianyang Cave had loosened last year. Those phenomena and the powerful spiritual aura emitted had caused a huge commotion and had long been noticed by Murong Planet's cultivation world. Last year, it was when Master's remnant spirit completely dissipated. Jiang Xi sighed softly in his heart. The dissipation of the remnant spirit caused the array that Taoist Gu set up back then to start unsealing. Just like the heaven and earth spirit lock array on the first moon, it was also unsealed because of this. It's impossible to enter the Qianyang Cave quietly. Jiang Xi drank half a jar of strong wine again and was worried. His original plan was to directly use Taoist Ji's unsealing mark after arriving at Murong Planet. Enter Qianyang Cave and refine the Yang dark energy. Then, look for the descendants of the Wen clan. It was simple and effortless. But he didn't expect this accident to happen. After the seal loosened, the lake called Blue Smoke Lake was already firmly controlled by the current ruler of Murong Planet. No one was allowed to go near it. The Qiao clan again. Do I have a fucking feud with the Qiao clan? Jiang Xi recalled that when he had just stepped onto the path of martial arts on Earth, the first enemy he had encountered was the Qiao clan. And now, the one who actually controlled Murong Planet was also a cultivator family with the Qiao clan. Murong Planet wasn't a private territory. It was a planet that belonged to the Tao Alliance and also had an office set up by the Tao Alliance Heavenly Courts. However, the Tao Alliance usually wouldn't interfere with the actual operation of a planet with life. Therefore, Murong Planet was already more or less a private territory under the Qiao clan's control. According to the information that Master gave me, Murong Planet was originally ruled by the Wen clan. But now, the Wen clan has disappeared without a trace. In the whole of China and even the surrounding secular countries, there isn't even a single one. Chapter 254. Through this half a month of investigation, Jiang Xi's keen intuition told him that the disappearance of the Wen family was not that simple. This was also the reason why he chose to secretly investigate. He was worried that there was danger behind it. The Wen family was originally the ruler of Murong Planet, a level, for life planet. Although the Wen family's ancestor had died, they still had the ancestral land. Even if they lost the position of ruler, they wouldn't disappear, right? There was another possibility that the Wen family had moved out of Murong Planet. However, this possibility was very small, because no one would be willing to give up the ancestral land, which was the foundation of a cultivator family's strength. No matter what the possibility was, Jiang Xi knew that he had to stop investigating the Wen family's whereabouts for now. According to the loosening of the outer seal of Qianyang Grotto Heaven, the seal formation will be completely unsealed in a month at most. At that time, there is no need for Master's seal, anyone can enter. I have to think of a way. Jiang Xi had considered this for a long time, but he hadn't made a decision. At present, there were only two ways, one was to enter by force, and the other was to enter by taking advantage of the chaos. The danger of forcibly entering was very high. The Qiao family could rule and control a level, for life planet, their overall strength was definitely not weak, and there might be some old guys hiding. In comparison, taking advantage of the chaos was the most feasible way. Because of the loosening of the outer seal of Qianyang Grotto Heaven, it emitted a vision and a powerful aura, attracting the attention of many cultivators. Just in this Qianyang city, Jiang Xi found a lot of cultivators. He even saw a cultivator in the early nascent soul stage. Although Murong Planet was controlled by the cultivator family Qiao family, there were other powerhouses in the cultivation world. When the seal was completely unsealed, someone would definitely take advantage of the chaos to break in, and that would be the opportunity. No matter what method it is, I have to be fully prepared. With his strength that barely reached the late nascent soul stage, there were not many people in Murone Planet who could surpass him. However, he could not let down his caution and stability at any time. This was the lesson he had learned over a long time. If the Chiao family really hid some powerful old guy, then it would be tragic. Thinking of this, Riverward downed another half jar of strong liquor, paid the bill, and left leisurely. At this moment, the guests in the restaurant had long been stunned by Jiang Xi's drinking style. "I've never seen anyone drink like this. He drank over 100 jugs in half a day." As a result, Jiang Xi left the name of the god of wine in this restaurant. Even after 1,000 years, the legend of the god of wine was still circulating in Ganyang City. After Jiang Xi left the restaurant, he wandered around Qianyang City for half a day, enjoying the scenery that was similar to ancient times. There were sugar-coated haws, donkeys rolling on the ground, and the brothel boats listening to songs. It was quite lively. It wasn't until nightfall that he entered a small alley that was rarely known by people. This was a secret workshop in the cultivation world of Qianyang City. Because Murone Planet's ruler, the Chiao family, had very strict control over the cultivation world. The transactions between cultivators could only be carried out in such a shady place. The Dark House of Ganyang City was held once every 3 months. Jiang Xi had been waiting for half a month for today, the day when the Dark House would open. In the past half a month, he had found a headhunter who was good at gathering information in the cultivation world of Murone Planet. Other than asking him to search for traces of the Wen family, he also entrusted him to search for information on spirit weapon transactions. Then, he found out about the existence of the Dark House. "I have to be fully prepared. Not only do I have to prepare an escape route, but I also have to strengthen my combat strength." With his current strength, the Abyss Condensation Sword, which was only an inferior-grade spirit weapon, could no longer keep up with the times. He had to change to a higher-grade spirit weapon sword. According to Master's inherited memories, Murone Planet has always been a life planet known for its proficiency in weapon refinement. Although 10,000 years have passed and this planet has changed a lot, the legacy of weapon refinement shouldn't be broken, right? He should be able to find a suitable spirit weapon sword here. At the very least, he had to change to a middle-grade spirit weapon. Of course, it would be best if it was a high-grade one. The Dark House was not underground, but in a 3-story pavilion that was easy to escape from. This was to avoid the attacks of the Chiao family cultivators. At the entrance of the Dark House, the gatekeeper carefully checked Jiang Xi's invitation token before letting Jiang Xi in. After Jiang Xi entered, he looked around. Including him, there were already 7 cultivators here. They were all at the Golden Core stage, and one of them was at the late-stage Golden Core stage. In addition, Jiang Xi found that this place was different from the market described in cultivation novels. The cultivators who participated in the Dark House's transactions did not wear any disguise measures such as masks or bamboo hats. Thinking about it, what was the use of wearing a mask? One could know what they looked like with a sweep of their spirit sense. Moreover, everyone was guarding against the Chiao family, so it didn't matter whether they disguised themselves here or not. When Jiang Xi was inquiring about the others were also inquiring about him. Because Jiang Xi's cultivation was also at the late-stage Golden Core stage, he was one of the 2 strongest cultivators here. However, no one took the initiative to ask about Jiang Xi's background. That would be very rude. After about an hour, 2 more cultivators at the late-stage Golden Core stage came. The Dark House began. Then, an ordinary-looking middle-aged woman walked down from the 3rd floor of the pavilion. Her cultivation was also at the late-stage Golden Core stage. She was the owner of this Dark House. Jiang Xi's heart skipped a beat. He felt that this middle-aged woman was a little strange, but he couldn't tell what was strange about her. At this time, the middle-aged woman said, "Since everyone is here, let's begin. As usual, state your needs. It's up to you whether you want to trade or not." Then, the others said a bunch of miscellaneous needs. They were all elixirs, spirit weapons, cultivation methods, and so on. Soon, it was the turn of another cultivator at the late-stage golden core stage who looked like an old Taoist. He coughed and said, "I need a 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit. I can exchange it with magic weapons and spirit crystals." Hearing this, Jiang Xi smiled and said, "I do have a 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit, but I need a high-grade spirit weapon long sword." The old Taoist was slightly stunned and said hesitantly, "Although a 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit is rare, its value is not equal to a high-grade spirit weapon. Can't you use a mid-grade spirit weapon? Or I can exchange it with 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals. I only need a high-grade spirit weapon. If you have one, I can naturally take out something of equal value." Jiang Xi looked calm. "No." The old Taoist smiled bitterly. Jiang Xi was also a little disappointed. If a late-stage golden core stage cultivator didn't have a high-grade spirit weapon, then other cultivators at the middle stage and late-stage golden core stage would have no hope. A 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit was very rare on Murong planet. Its price was 10 times more expensive than on Blue planet. However, 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals was nothing to him. "I do have a high-grade spirit weapon, and it happens to be a long sword." At this time, the middle-aged woman in charge of the dark house spoke. "How do you want to trade?" Jiang Xi asked. "I need an inheritance of array formations related to the unsealing seal." Hearing this, all the cultivators present looked at the middle-aged woman. Now that the seal of Qianyang Grotto Heaven was about to be lifted, everyone naturally paid attention to this. Chapter 255. Everyone present knew that the entrance to Qianyang Grotto Heaven was completely controlled by the Qiao family. It was impossible for outsiders to enter Qianyang Grotto Heaven quietly. Could it be that this middle-aged woman had a way to bypass the Qiao family and enter? Everyone started guessing in their hearts, but no one took the initiative to ask. This was because they were all afraid of the middle-aged woman's strength. After all, not everyone could do this kind of underground business under the Qiao family's nose. Of course, Jiang Xi had his own array formation inheritance. In fact, he had more than one kind of array formation inheritance. Although he was also guessing the middle-aged woman's motive for wanting this inheritance, he still said that he did not have it. Although superior-grade spirit weapons were expensive, it did not mean that they could only be bought on planet Murong. It was not worthwhile to expose his array formation inheritance. In the Dao Alliance, array formations were definitely one of the rarest inheritances. Previously, he only thought that planet Murong was famous for its weapon refinement and that he might be able to find something good here. Who knew that he would encounter such an accident? The entire planet Murong seemed to have become a detention island. A late-stage golden core cultivator could not even find a 10,000-year-old spirit fruit. It sounded very pitiful. This also showed how tough the Qiao family, who currently ruled this planet, was. The underground business continued, and the middle-aged woman regained her calmness. She did not appear disappointed or depressed because of the failure of the transaction. 10 minutes later, the underground business ended. After all, it was not like an auntie in a market where she had to haggle. Everything was done according to needs. If there was something, there was something. If there was nothing, there was nothing. High efficiency and speed. Instead, when it was time to leave, the speed was much slower because they had to line up to leave. This was to ensure the safety of the participants. The early-stage golden core cultivators had to leave first and wait for more than 3 minutes before the next person could leave. With the speed of a golden core cultivator, 3 minutes was enough to reach a safe place. Soon, only Jiang Xi, the middle-aged woman, and the old Taoist priest were left in the underground business. The three of them were all late-stage golden core cultivators. The old Taoist priest was not satisfied. For the 10,000-year-old spirit fruit, he had participated in many underground business transactions in many places over the past 10 years, but the result was always failure. The 10,000-year-old spirit fruit was too precious. Even if they had it, they would not trade it. Now that he heard that Jiang Xi had it, he naturally wanted to fight for it. Fellow Taoist, is there anything else you need? He asked Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi thought about it and smiled. I'm more interested in the Wen clan. Do you have any information about the Wen clan? The old Taoist's eyes lit up and he quickly said, then you've asked the right person. My ancestor used to be a servant in the Wen family. He does have some understanding of the Wen family. Oh. What I need to know is the current situation of the Wen family. Is something from 1,000 years ago feasible? Tell me about it. Let's start from over 10,000 years ago. After the death of the Tao integration stage patriarch, the Wen family continued to maintain its power and continued to rule the Murong star for over 5,000 years. Up until 6,000 years ago, the Wen clan was still the ruler of Murong planet. However, it quickly declined and was replaced by the current Qiao clan. I know what you're talking about. Jiang Xi smiled. Don't be anxious, fellow Taoist. Let me tell you slowly. Very few people in the Murong planet cultivation world know that the Qiao clan's first-generation patriarch was actually just a child of the Tao integration stage patriarch from the Wen clan. 1,000 years ago, there was a massacre in China. The last bloodline of the Wen clan was wiped out by a mysterious force. This matter didn't spread. Because my ancestor used to be a servant in the Wen clan, he took care of the declining Wen clan and happened to discover this matter. The old Taoist's words were filled with caution. From beginning to end, he didn't point out that the Qiao clan was the culprit behind the Wen clan's destruction. However, as long as one wasn't an idiot, one could understand what he meant. The Wen clan was destroyed by the Qiao clan. Jiang Xi's expression was calm, but he sighed silently in his heart. Has the Wen clan been destroyed? Master is probably really going to die with a grievance. Jiang Xi knew the relationship between Taoist Gu and the Wen clan very well. This was recorded in his inherited memories back then. The Wen clan was able to remain strong after the Tao integration stage patriarch, Wen Yan, died precisely because they still had Taoist Gu as their backer. However, later on, which was 10,000 years ago, Taoist Gu went after the Ghost clan's powerful cultivator, Yin Tiansheng. Furthermore, he set up the Heaven and Earth Spirit Lock Array on the first moon on Earth to suppress Yin Tiansheng and himself. Due to the lack of Heaven and Earth Spirit energy, Taoist Gu died more than 6,000 years ago. This time coincided with the time when the Wen clan was overthrown as the ruler. Although he didn't know how the Qiao clan found out about Taoist Ji's death, it was normal for the Wen clan to be overthrown as the ruler after losing their backer. The strong preyed on the weak, this was an eternal principle. Extermination shouldn't have happened. The Qiao clan deserves to die. The Wen clan had been in decline for thousands of years, and only the last of them were left in the world. However, the Qiao clan still didn't let them off and wiped out the Wen clan's bloodline. What was even more hateful was that the Qiao clan's first-generation patriarch was the child of the Wen clan's Tao integration stage patriarch, Wen Yan. Child cultivators weren't slaves, they were close people, like their own children. The Qiao clan was so vicious. Jiang Xi's heart was filled with anger, but he didn't express his anger so as not to expose his true thoughts. At this moment, neither he nor the old Taoist noticed. When the old Taoist recounted this matter, a trace of grief and anger flashed across the eyes of the middle-aged woman with an ordinary face not far away, but she quickly returned to normal. Jiang Xi got his answer and took out a 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit and gave it to the old Taoist. The old Taoist left with great gratitude. Next, it was Jiang Xi's turn to leave. However, like the old Taoist, Jiang Xi also wanted to fight for it. If he could have a superior grade spiritual weapon now, his strength would increase a little. After all, in the current situation, the stronger his strength, the better. At the same time, he also wanted to know if this middle-aged woman had a way to sneak into Qianyang Grotto Heaven. He directly asked the middle-aged woman. Fellow Taoist, can you give me that superior grade spiritual weapon? I only need the inheritance of array formations related to the reconciliation seal. Fellow Taoist, you want to enter Qianyang Grotto Heaven? I'm very puzzled. Are you a cultivator from Murong Planet? The middle-aged woman's rhetorical question shocked Jiang Ci. This was the first time someone noticed this. He had already disguised himself very well and even used his spiritual power to grow long hair. He looked no different from a native cultivator of Murong Planet. Could it be that he still exposed something? Fellow Taoist, what do you mean by that? He responded calmly. The Dark House's transaction is over. Fellow Taoist, you can leave now. The middle-aged woman closed the door and sent him off. Jiang Ci was helpless. He couldn't use force to get an answer. Things like forcing people to buy or sell was something that couldn't be done unless it was absolutely necessary. Chapter 256. After leaving the dark house, Jiang Ci's figure flashed and disappeared into the night. As for the middle-aged woman, she stood in the attic of the dark house and looked at the scene outside Ganyang City, her eyes flickering. One could see that there was a wide lake far away from the city, shrouded in clouds and mist. One could feel the dense spirit aura emitted by the lake even from here. It was as if a powerful spirit aura of heaven and earth was about to burst out from it. On the other side, Jiang Ci returned to a quiet courtyard. Although he didn't get the spirit artifact he wanted in the dark house, he had an unexpected gain. He finally knew the whereabouts of the Wen family. Thinking of this, Jiang Ci was still very angry. Even if the Wen family's destruction had nothing to do with him. He just felt that he had failed his master's trust. Taoist Gu was a person who knew how to repay kindness. And Jiang Ci also knew how to repay kindness. Although he and Taoist Gu only had a face-to-face interaction for more than 10 minutes. But Taoist Gu had truly fulfilled his responsibility as a master. A master preaches, accepts, and dispels doubts. What Jiang Ci obtained from Taoist Ge's inherited memories was far more than these 3 points. This inherited memory was endlessly useful to him. Qiao family. Jiang Ci's eyes flashed with a cold light, hiding killing intent. However, he still maintained his calm and wasn't affected by his anger. He could distinguish the importance of the matter. I still have to make other preparations. This trip to Murong Planet was not only to find the descendants of the Wen family. He also had another goal, which was to obtain the baleful yang power of Ganyang Grotto Heaven. The entrance to Ganyang Grotto Heaven was now controlled by the Qiao family. Even if he took advantage of the chaos to enter, he had to be fully prepared before he could make a move. Next, Jiang Ci used another half a month to secretly set up 10 teleportation arrays all over Murong Planet. Especially around the interstellar teleportation array of Murong Planet, he set up a total of 6. The outer seal of Ganyang Grotto Heaven will be completely unsealed in about half a month. Just wait. When he was setting up the teleportation array, he had been paying attention to the situation outside Ganyang City. The blue smoke lake, which covered hundreds of square kilometers, was shrouded in thick fog. The current ruler of Murong Planet, the cultivator family Qiao family, had sent out thousands of golden core cultivators to guard the surroundings of blue smoke lake. At the same time, there were 3 nascent soul stage cultivators guarding the lake. Any cultivators who were not from the Qiao clan were not allowed to approach that place. Otherwise, they would be killed without mercy. With such tight security, it was impossible to sneak in. Therefore, he could only wait for the seal to be completely unsealed before taking advantage of the chaos to enter. With my strength and my understanding of formations, even if I take advantage of the chaos, there is a high chance that I can obtain baleful yang energy. Jiang Ci was full of confidence. This was because he had another advantage, which was that other people did not know that Qianyang Cave had baleful yang energy. When he entered, no one would compete with him for it. When Taoist Gu sealed the baleful yang force inside, no one knew except for the Wen clan's ancestor, Wen Yan. Baleful yang energy was an energy form that was even rarer than baleful yin energy. Even in the 9 stellar regions of the Tao Alliance, it was extremely rare. It was something that could only be chanced upon and not sought after. Even money might not be able to buy it. If I could buy it, I would definitely not take this risk. Jiang Xi sighed softly. Just for this blue smoke lake, the Qiao clan had sent over 1,000 golden core cultivators and 3 nascent soul cultivators. However, if the Qiao clan could exterminate the Wen clan, they definitely had more than what they showed on the surface. Therefore, even if he took advantage of the chaos to enter, he would have to take a huge risk. While waiting for Qian Yang Cave's seal to be unsealed, Jiang Xi continued to comprehend the Tao of formations in his inherited memories. Just like that, another 3 days passed. His transmission pearl lit up and someone sent him a message. There were very few people who had his transmission imprint. Other than Xian Tian and the others, there were only Shen Wanxi and Gong Shi from the Pale Blue Planet, as well as Manager Zhang from the Pale Blue Planet. Jiang Xi accepted the message and the figure of a middle-aged man appeared in front of him. The man had an elegant temperament and was dressed like a scholar. In fact, this person was a mid-stage golden core cultivator. He was a hunter who was good at gathering information in the Murong planet's cultivation world. Jiang Xi had once asked him to find out information about the Wen clan and the spiritual weapon trade. "Old Bao, is there any news?" asked Jiang Xi. Old Bao was how this hunter addressed outsiders. He shook his head and said, "I really can't help you with the spiritual weapon you need. The spiritual weapon trade on Murong planet is controlled by the Qiao clan. Apart from the Dark House, there are no other good channels." Jiang Xi was a little disappointed. It seemed like he could only wait until he returned to the Pale Blue Planet and make a move through the Pale Blue Planet. At this point, Old Bao smiled and said, "However, there's a result for the other matter you asked me to do." "You found the Wen clan?" Jiang Xi remained calm. "That's right. But as far as I know, the last bloodline of the Wen clan was exterminated 1,000 years ago. I've also heard about what you said. In fact, there's still another bloodline of the Wen clan. They live in another city in China, Yuyang City." "How did you know?" There's no news that the Dark House can't find out since it has existed on Murong planet for 10,000 years. "Then why don't you get me a superior grade spiritual weapon?" Old Bao choked for a moment and laughed dryly before saying, "If you don't believe me, I can bring you to take a look." Jiang Xi pondered for a moment and nodded. "That's fine too." Although he didn't know if Old Bao was telling the truth, he had to take a look anyway. What if the Wen clan really had a bloodline left behind? This way, he could also complete his master's request and let his master die in peace. As for whether Old Bao would have any ill intentions, Jiang Xi wasn't afraid at all. As long as he didn't encounter a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, he was confident that he could deal with his opponent. Late at night, Old Bao rushed to Jiang Xi's residence and brought Jiang Xi to Yuyang City. Along the way, Jiang Xi didn't let his guard down just because he was strong. He observed the surroundings at all times. He discovered that there were also wild forests on Murong planet. However, there were no demons, only some wild beasts that had yet to become demons. In other words, wild demons couldn't be seen in the entire Tao Alliance's 9 major star zones as long as it wasn't a wild planet. The two of them flew at high speed above the wilderness. After flying for a while, they passed by a mountain range. Jiang Xi stopped and asked with a frown, "Old Bao, what's the meaning of this?" After coming to Murong planet, he had already memorized the map of this planet in his mind. They weren't going in the direction of Yuyang City. Moreover, the mountain range below was a little strange. "You have a good spiritual sense indeed." Old Bao no longer concealed it and sneered. "I think you're courting death." Jiang Xi's expression was calm. After careful observation, he discovered that someone had set up a killing formation using the mountain range below. However, from what he could see, this formation was very crude. "Sister, do it." Old Bao laughed and shouted as he flew back. Jiang Xi's expression was indifferent. He didn't immediately kill Old Bao. He wanted to see what Old Bao's purpose was. Chapter 257. Buzz. Suddenly, the heaven and earth spirit chi gathered. The area where the mountain range was located was quickly shrouded in gray fog. Kill! A delicate shout sounded in the mountain range. Instantly, countless weapons containing killing intent were formed. Sabers, swords, staffs, axes, hooks, tridents, 108 weapons whizzed toward Jiang Xi. They arrived in an instant. These weapons that were formed by the formation emitted a very strong power. They could easily kill an early Golden Elixir Realm cultivator. Even a late Golden Elixir Realm cultivator would be injured if they were hit. However, Jiang Xi's strength had long surpassed this level of cultivation. Ridiculous. Jiang Xi took out the Abyss Coagulation Sword and stabbed out. The sword shadow formed by the sword intent seemed to be able to penetrate space and pass through the weapons formed by the formation. As fast as lightning, it accurately landed on a small mountain peak in the gray fog below. Impossible. Old Bao's voice sounded at the same time as the delicate shout. Boom. The weapons formed by the formation, accompanied by the gray fog that shrouded the mountain range, dissipated in an instant. Jiang Xi's expression was calm. He could see countless loopholes in such a crude formation at a glance. This sword strike of his had directly hit the biggest loophole in the formation. He broke the formation with one strike. Come out, don't force me to attack. Jiang Xi looked at the mountain range below. Bastard, go to hell. Two cold lights formed by spirit chi shot out from the mountain range. At the same time, two figures followed closely behind and attacked Jiang Xi. After seeing the appearance of the figures, Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. As cautious as he was, he had been schemed against. One of the two people who killed him was Old Bao, and the other was the middle-aged woman from the Ganyang City Dark House. At the same time, he understood. Why did he feel that the middle-aged woman was a little strange last time at the Dark House? Because the middle-aged woman's temperament was somewhat similar to Old Bao's. After understanding all this, Jiang Xi no longer showed mercy. The gale domain immediately spread out. Whoosh, the gale whistled like a blade, sweeping through the world. The power of the domain directly trapped Old Bao and the middle-aged woman. The two cold lights with extremely powerful power also disappeared into thin air. Dao domain. Old Bao and the middle-aged woman's expressions changed drastically. They found it hard to believe. Their faces were filled with despair. They did not expect Jiang Xi to be so strong. He had comprehended a Dao domain at the late-stage Golden Core realm. This kind of talent had already not appeared in the entire Mu Rong planet for over 1,000 years. Inside his own domain, Jiang Xi walked slowly towards the two of them as if he was standing on solid ground. Why did you set me up? Jiang Xi asked expressionlessly. Everyone has the right to punish this bastard. Old Bao said angrily. Repaying kindness with ingratitude, sooner or later you will suffer retribution. The middle-aged woman also cursed. Inexplicable. Jiang Xi shook his head and ignored their crazy words. He asked Old Bao, you said that the Wen family's bloodline still exists. Is that true? Bastard, just kill me if you want to. Old Bao glared at him. The pitiful bloodline of the Wen clan is going to be wiped out by us. How hateful. How hateful. The middle-aged woman said with grief and indignation. The two of them knew that they had no chance of survival against Jiang Xi, so they no longer hid the secret they had kept for so many years. Jiang Xi was stunned and hurriedly asked, are you the descendants of Uncle Master Wen Yan? According to seniority, there was no problem for him to address the Wen family's patriarch as Uncle Master. Bastard, how dare you humiliate my Wen family's patriarch? I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Old Bao was furious. Shut up. Jiang Xi was also enraged. Calling him a bastard, did he eat too much dog meat? Jiang Xi turned his gaze to the middle-aged woman. She looked a lot more rational. Do you know how to form the Wen family's bloodline mark? So what if I do? So what if I don't? The middle-aged woman laughed bitterly. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly and raised his hand to form a seal. After completing a set of complicated seals, the spiritual energy in his body was inexplicably drawn and condensed into a complicated pattern in his palm. This pattern was the Wen family's bloodline mark. However, if it was someone from the Wen family who formed the seal, not only would the spiritual energy in their body be drawn, but also their blood. Impossible, the Wen family's bloodline mark is passed down from generation to generation. It's impossible for outsiders to know. The middle-aged woman's expression changed drastically. Who are you? Old Bao also widened his eyes. Show me the seal first, then I'll tell you. Jiang Xi waved his hand to disperse the Gale domain. After the two of them were no longer bound by the domain, they did not resist, nor did they think of escaping. Because of the strength Jiang Xi had displayed, the two of them realized that they could not escape. Moreover, they wanted to know Jiang Xi's identity very much. Then, the two of them formed the seal at the same time. Their movements were exactly the same as Jiang Xi's. However, when the seal was completed, a wisp of blood light was drawn from their bodies. Accompanied by spiritual energy, it condensed into a complicated blood-colored pattern in their palms. Jiang Xi smiled. He was very happy. After searching around, it turned out that the descendant of the Wen family was right beside him. It seemed that when he first came to Murong planet and secretly inquired about the Wen family in the cultivation world, he should have been targeted by them. The middle-aged woman said in a low voice, "You can tell me who you are." Before he could finish his sentence, more than 50 figures exuding powerful auras quickly surrounded him from all directions. They were all in the golden core stage. Ha! The Wen family's bloodline mark. After so many years of searching, I finally found the Wen family's remaining members. Kill them all. A wild laughter echoed in the sky above the mountain range. It's the Qiao family's cultivators. Old Bao and the middle-aged woman were shocked and angry. Then, they glared at Jiang Xi. It's you've led them here. Bastard, you're really from the Qiao family. Jiang Xi shook his head and did not explain. His gaze turned cold as he looked at the golden core cultivators who were surrounding them from all directions. Humph. Gale domain. The power of the domain spread, and countless gusts of wind, like blades, immediately enveloped the attackers. Ah! This is the Tao domain. Retreat, retreat. More than 50 golden core cultivators turned pale with fright. They were terrified and wanted to escape. But with the power of the Gale domain, with their cultivation level, if they did not fully comprehend the true meaning of Tao, there was no way they could escape. Jiang Xi was expressionless. His body swayed and he attacked with his sword. The sword was like a ray of light. Its speed was so fast that it looked like it was flashing, leaving behind afterimages in the Gale domain. When the afterimages disappeared, more than 50 golden core cultivators were all dead. There was a ghastly hole in their foreheads. Even though there were 4 golden core advanced stage cultivators, they could not block his attack. This scene shocked Old Bao and the middle-aged woman. They were shocked and could not believe it. Those were more than 50 golden core cultivators. Even if a nascent soul advanced stage cultivator attacked, he would not be able to kill them instantly. Who are you? The middle-aged woman opened her eyes wide. According to seniority, I should be your ancestor. Jiang Xi smiled. Chapter 258. Jiang Xi did not explain in detail to the two of them. Instead, he waved his hand and drove the power of his domain to collect all the storage magic treasures of the Qiao family cultivators. As for the corpses, they turned into powder in the blink of an eye under the strong wind and drifted into the mountain range, becoming natural nourishment. Destroying the corpses, then Jiang Xi said to the two of them, "It's not good to stay here for long. Let's find another place." Old Bao and the middle-aged woman already believed that Jiang Xi was not a bad person, so they took Jiang Xi and left this place. After flying for a while, Jiang Xi stopped again because this was the direction back to Ganyang City. Just now, the people from the Qiao family might have been following me and Old Bao. Isn't it inappropriate to return to Ganyang City? Jiang Xi frowned. It's not a possibility, it's a certainty. Moreover, the one following was you, not me. Old Bao snorted coldly. Jiang Xi smiled and did not get angry. Because what Old Bao said made sense. It should be related to when he first came to Murong Planet and secretly inquired about the Wen family. If even Old Bao could keep an eye on him, the Qiao family, as the actual ruler of Murong Planet, would naturally be able to find out. It doesn't matter. Just wear this. The middle-aged woman handed Jiang Xi a transparent mask. Jiang Xi took it doubtfully and found that it was a low-grade spirit weapon. He used his spiritual sense to refine it, and it only took a moment for him to succeed. The spiritual sense of a late-stage golden core cultivator could easily refine a low-grade spirit weapon. Then, he also understood the function of the mask, disguise. As long as the other party's cultivation did not exceed the golden core stage, they would not be able to see the true appearance under the mask. Good stuff. Jiangxi sighed in admiration. He slapped himself in the face again. In front of cultivators, ordinary masks did not have the effect of disguising, but spirit weapons did. Then, with a thought, his facial appearance immediately changed. This time, the people from the Qiao family should not be able to recognize him, unless they were at the nascent soul stage. However, for something like tracking, they probably would not send a nascent soul stage cultivator. Is there a higher level? Jiang Xi asked. His current opponent is starting to develop towards the nascent soul stage. However, his defense against the spiritual sense of an Aurus core stage cultivator is still too low. No. Old Bao and the middle-aged woman refused in unison. Jiang Xi smiled. That meant there was one. Moreover, the two people in front of him must have disguised themselves. No wonder they all looked so ordinary. They were the type that one would forget after taking a glance at them. They wouldn't attract any attention. The three of them arrived at the secret workshop in Ganyang City. It was an ordinary 3-story building, which was inconspicuous in the huge Qianyang city. Old Bao and the middle-aged woman looked at each other and nodded slightly. Then, the middle-aged woman said, "Now, can you tell me who you are?" Jiang Xi shook his head. "Not yet." "Fellow Taoist, are you toying with us?" Their expressions instantly turned ugly. "Ha, I know you guys have already comprehended the true meaning of the Tao. First, make a Tao oath and swear that you won't reveal what I'm about to say. Then, it won't be too late for me to tell you," Jiang Xi said with a smile. "Tao oath?" Old Bao and the middle-aged woman looked at each other. "Don't worry, I won't cheat you. You guys can't be, right? I'll teach you. Come, repeat after me." Jiang Xi had a kind smile on his face and looked harmless. Then, he seemed to have thought of something. "Oh right, I still don't know your real names and appearances. Since we're being honest, you should tell me your names. Take off your masks and let me see." Wen Youxin. Wen Feng. The siblings were a little confused by Jiang Xi. However, the two of them were Aurus core cultivators after all. They quickly reacted and only said their names without taking off their masks. Wen Youxin and Wen Feng shook their heads at the same time. "Fellow Taoist, you should tell us your identity first." They didn't want to reveal their true appearances and were even more unwilling to make an oath. The higher one's cultivation, the more taboo things like oaths were. Especially this Tao oath, it didn't sound right. Do you want to live or die? Jiang Xi maintained his smile. The siblings looked at each other again with bitter expressions and finally nodded helplessly. Jiang Xi coughed and said, "Repeat after me. In the name of the heavenly Tao, I, Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng, swear with the true intent of the Tao that we've comprehended." Then, the two of them followed Jiang Xi and recited this complicated and restrictive Tao oath. Their faces darkened. It was as if something had descended on them from the unseen world. Both of them felt that they had been cheated badly this time. The greatest restriction placed on them by this Tao oath was that if they leaked what River Word was about to say, then their comprehension of the Tao of the heavens and earth would be unable to advance in the slightest. That was equivalent to cutting off their cultivation path directly. However, their lives were in the hands of Jiang Xi and they could only do as he said. Jiang Xi smiled kindly and was in a good mood. This was a good feeling. Back then, his master forced him to swear, and now, he was forcing the descendants of his master's friend to swear. It was indeed the cycle of karma. After the Wen siblings finished swearing, they looked at Jiang Xi with dark faces. Their meaning was obvious. It's time to reveal your identity. Jiang Xi smiled and nodded slightly. Naturally, the fewer people who knew that he had obtained the inheritance of Taoist Gu, the better. The principle of treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime was applicable in any era and any place. Then, he did not hide anything and said to the two of them, "Do you know who designed the bloodline mark of the Wen family? I saw it in the jade slip of the family tree. It was designed by the best friend of the Wen family's ancestor and the benefactor of the Wen family, Taoist Gu," Wen Yoxin replied. "I'm Taoist Ji's disciple." Jiang Xi said with a smile. "Impossible, Taoist Ji's life jade slip was broken 6,000 years ago. Moreover, according to the jade slip of the Wen family tree, Taoist Gu has never accepted a disciple. Even if you're Taoist Ji's disciple before his death, after 6,000 years of cultivation, you're at least at the nascent soul stage. It's impossible that you're only at the golden core stage." Wen Feng immediately retorted. Wen Yoxin also looked at Jiang Xi warily. "Your analysis is correct. I'm indeed Master's disciple before his death. I should say that I'm Master's disciple before his remnant soul dissipated." Then, Jiang Xi recounted the situation of him acknowledging Taoist Gu on the first moon. He also briefly recounted the experience of Taoist Gu dying under the heaven and earth spirit lock formation in order to suppress Yin Tiansheng. The Wen siblings had already sworn a Tao oath and did not have to worry about this leaking out. After Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng heard this, their expressions became solemn. The two of them immediately knelt down and kowtowed to the void, remembering Taoist Gu. When Jiang Xi saw this, a smile appeared on his face. Before his master's remnant soul dissipated, he had specially asked him to come and visit the descendants of the Wen family. At this moment, after the Wen siblings paid their respects to Taoist Gu, they actually turned around and bowed respectfully at Jiang Xi's feet. Wen Yoxin greets senior granduncle. Wen Feng greets senior granduncle. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.